Chapter 193. In the blink of an eye, the little white monkey disappeared. When it came back to its senses, it was hugging a fist-sized snow lotus. Lin Xian broke the snow lotus in half and gave one half to the little white monkey while keeping the other half carefully. The little white monkey quickly stuffed the snow lotus into its mouth and swallowed it. Woochie woochie! It jumped onto Lin Xian's shoulder and curled into a ball. What a waste! Lin Xian looked pained. This snow lotus is an item of extreme cold. If you can find an item of extreme yang, I can refine a pot of good wine for you. Lord Alcohol chuckled. Anyway, we have to pass by the fire province this time. I can look for it when the time comes, Lin Xian replied. He looked around again and suddenly raised his eyebrows. The spiritual energy here is so dense. Lord Alcohol sensed it and said softly, "This should be a spirit gathering array that gathers the spiritual energy in the surroundings. Could it be that someone wants to nurture the snow lotus?" Lord Alcohol said indifferently. Suddenly, his expression changed. "That's not right. This snow lotus is just a little older. There's nothing special about it. Could there be something else here? Kid, look below." Lord Alcohol guessed. Lin Xian's purple spirit eyes flickered as he looked down. "There's a cloud of blurry blue gas and a piece of ice," Lin Xian transmitted his voice. "Open it and take a look. There might be something good." Lord Alcohol said. Lin Xian began to attack the restriction, but the result was the same as before. "I don't believe it." Lin Xian's face was tense as he constantly slashed at the restriction with his sword. The little white monkey's eyes darted around before it burrowed into the storage ring. Lin Xian cursed under his breath and continued to hack at the restriction. Clanging sounds rang out continuously, filling the small cave. Fortunately, there was no one else. Otherwise, it would be annoying. 3 days later, the restriction finally let out a cracking sound and shattered into pieces. Lin Xian's face turned pale as he heaved a sigh of relief. He sat cross-legged on the ground, took out a cup of spirit wine, and began to recover. This was the spirit wine he had brought out from the trial of blood and fire, and he had already drunk half of it. As his cultivation increased, the effect of the spirit wine gradually weakened, but it was still good for recovering spirit energy. 1 hour later, Lin Xian opened his eyes. He slowly stood up and prepared to dig into the ground. "Be careful. Don't break the things down there." Lin Xian activated his purple spirit eyes and used the autumn scar sword to dig bit by bit. The layer of ice gradually thinned, and Lin Xian could feel the chill in this space growing stronger and stronger. Could it be something strange? He felt his hair stand on end. Not only his body, but even his soul was trembling. "Continue, continue," Lord Alcohol urged. Gritting his teeth, Lin Xian continued to dig. Finally, all the layers of ice were broken, and a wisp of cold air emerged. Ka, ka, ka. The moment the cold air emerged, the surroundings quickly froze, forming ice cubes. Lin Xian felt a wave of cold air rush towards him, giving him goosebumps. Whoosh! Without any hesitation, he used the wind thunder steps and ran out. The cold air in the air stuck to his clothes and quickly froze them. Crackle! Golden electric arcs jumped and thunder and lightning intertwined, shattering the ice. That was close. Lin Xian let out a sigh of relief. Just the cold air that leaked out was already so tyrannical. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the cold air itself was. Looking back, he saw that the small cave had been sealed by ice. It's mystic ice chi. Lord Alcohol exclaimed. Legend has it that the mystic ice chi is the coldest chi, and it is often born with strange items. There must be something good inside. But I can't even get close. Lin Xian sighed. Don't worry, I can take the mystic ice chi. Lord Alcohol said with a smile. Let me try. Lin Xian used the windbreaker stance to shatter the ice cubes and quickly entered. The surroundings were still cold, but the mystic ice chi had returned to the ground. Lin Xian looked around and saw a round platform with a diameter of 1/2 meter. It was emitting cold air. Frost ice platform. It's indeed something good. Lord Alcohol laughed. What's its use? Lin Xian asked. It can speed up your cultivation. It's just right for you. Lin Xian was delighted when he heard that. When he looked down again, his eyes were shining. Let's take it away first. As he spoke, a black hole appeared in front of Lin Xian and slowly rotated. The frost ice platform underground was sucked up, and the mystic ice chi on it was in a frenzy. Lin Xian didn't move. He knew that Lord Alcohol had a solution. Indeed, the black hole kept rotating, sucking away all the scattered mystic ice chi. Woochie woochie! The snow-white monkey suddenly jumped out and cried out happily. Lin Xian jumped in fright, afraid that something would happen to the monkey. The snow-white monkey sucked hard, and a wisp of mystic ice chi flew out and was sucked into its body. The little monkey showed a satisfied expression and then burped. With a dazed look, the snow-white monkey burrowed back into the storage ring. Lin Xian exclaimed. From the looks of it, the snow-white monkey was indeed strange. It wasn't afraid of such a strange cold item. In the blink of an eye, the frost ice platform was taken away by Lord Alcohol. The mystic ice chi was attached to it and taken away. Let's go. There's nothing left. Lin Xian nodded, then turned into a shadow and quickly left the place. Walking in the dark tunnel, Lin Xian was very excited. Just now, he had thought of a way to deal with the blue-haired man. It was to use the mystic ice chi to seal the blue-haired man. Lord Alcohol also felt that this method was fine. After discussing for a while, they decided to take action as soon as possible. After leaving the cave, Lin Xian wasn't in a hurry to leave. He wanted to set up a trap and bait the blue-haired man. It was snowing heavily at night. Lin Xian found a dry cave and prepared to rest. With both hands forming seals, Lin Xian closed his eyes and started cultivating. But in fact, he spread out his soul power to observe the surroundings. Be careful, he's coming. Lord Alcohol transmitted his voice. Lin Xian's heart trembled. He deliberately didn't let the snow-white monkey appear in order to bait the blue-haired man. Whoosh! A green beam shot towards Lin Xian and arrived in front of Lin Xian in the blink of an eye. A huge sense of danger welled up in his heart, but Lin Xian didn't act rashly. He was waiting for the blue-haired man to come closer. With a kick of his legs, his body flew out like a spring. The green beam swept towards Lin Xian and sent him flying. Lin Xian's blood and qi surged. He felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Swish! A figure flashed and grabbed at Lin Xian with a wide palm. The fingernails were long and sharp with a strange aura circulating on them. If he was caught, he would definitely die. Lin Xian's heart was in his throat as he stared at the palm. He knew that he only had one chance. If he failed, he would either die or alert the blue-haired man. If that happened, he would have no chance at all. Just as the green fingernails were about to touch him, Lin Xian made his move. A wisp of mystic ice chi surged out and wrapped around the blue-haired man's hand. In the next moment, the blue-haired man seemed to have encountered something terrifying and quickly retreated. Ka, ka, ka. Just as he moved, the cold chi quickly surged through his body, emitting a terrifying chill. This was the real mystic ice chi, not the cold chi that had touched Lin Xian's clothes. The power of the two was completely different. Once touched by the mystic ice chi, even a harmonious spirit expert would be frozen. Lin Xian's eyes flashed as he looked ahead. Chapter 194. In front of him, a huge ice sculpture stood in the snow, emitting a shocking chill. Lin Xian smiled in satisfaction. The mystic ice chi was indeed domineering. It had even sealed the mysterious azure-haired man. A black vortex appeared and sucked in the ice. Ice split the frost chi into 5 strands. One strand froze this fellow, leaving 4 strands. Lord Alcohol said. Lin Xian rubbed his chin. Then, can I freeze for more old fellows? The Tsang family, the Golden Sword sect, and the Yuan family probably wouldn't let him off. Even Lin Feng's lineage might take action against him. But now, the situation was probably different. Stupid. Lord Alcohol snorted coldly. This mystic ice chi is a rare treasure. It can be used to increase your strength. Freezing others is just a small trick. Increase my strength? Lin Xian was delighted. From now on, I will use the mystic ice chi to refine you, Lord Alcohol said. Not only can it refine your body and spiritual power, but it can also increase your soul power. Refine my soul power? Lin Xian was surprised. According to what he knew, the cultivation of soul power was extremely slow and dangerous. It was far more difficult than the cultivation of spiritual power. That was why there were so few inscription masters in this world. Let's try the ice platform first. Lin Xian took a deep breath. A circular ice platform appeared on the ground like a work of art. Lin Xian sat cross-legged on it and prepared to cultivate. The moment he came into contact with the ice platform, his body couldn't help but tremble. The chill almost made him cry out. Fortunately, his willpower was firm, and he endured it. Quickly circulating the longevity art, Lin Xian entered a state of cultivation. His body was covered in ice. His face and eyebrows were all covered in ice. Lin Xian closed his eyes tightly as though he had turned into an ice man. Whoosh! The snow-white monkey flew out and jumped to the ground. It looked at Lin Xian with its big eyes. Woochie woochie! It was bored for a while before it sniffed the air with its nose and ran into the distance. In the snow-covered mountain, a group of figures was shuttling through the forest. Stop! Suddenly, the entire group stopped. Young master, what's wrong? A gray-robed elder asked. What a strange little monkey! It was a young man wearing a fur coat. His eyes were greedily staring at a small, white monkey on a tree in front of him. Woochie woochie! The little monkey on the tree was Lin Xian's little one. It was eating an unknown fruit, its eyes full of disdain. It's so intelligent. It's much stronger than the demonic beast back at home. The young man was overjoyed. He pointed at the monkey and said, This young master wants it. Don't worry, young master. This old servant will catch it right away. The gray-robed old man's figure flashed and flew up to the treetops like lightning. Then he waved his hands mercilessly. Woochie woochie! The little white monkey screamed twice and then disappeared with a whoosh. The gray-robed elder was surprised. He was a martial artist in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and his speed was unimaginably fast. However, the little white monkey still managed to escape. This should be a mutant monkey. Young master, don't worry, it can't run away. Over there, someone in the group exclaimed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The gray-robed elder kept dodging to catch the little monkey, but it escaped. Let's go together and catch it for this young master. The young man was furious. Many people went forward, and only 3 martial artists were left to guard the young man. They stood in a very strict position, protecting the young man in the middle. Not long after, these people returned empty-handed. Young master, that monkey is too cunning. No. A few people whispered, Trash, a bunch of trash. The young man was furious and kept shouting, Young master, I think we should go to the snow-seeking sect first. At this time, Chu Lao and the others should have already arrived. The gray-robed elder said, Humph, Xia country is really boring. It wasn't easy to find something good, but in the end, it ran away. The young man's face was gloomy. Let's go to the snow-seeking sect. The group of more than 10 people went on their way again. However, after a few steps, countless snowballs suddenly flew over. Pung, pung, pung. Someone in the group was hit, and snow splashed on his face. Although it didn't hurt, it made him very embarrassed. Who is it? come out. Someone shouted, Wuchi, Wuchi. A mocking voice was heard. In the snow ahead, a palm-sized monkey bent over laughing. It's it. Everyone was angry, except for the young man whose eyes were shining. This young master orders all of you to capture it. Many people in the group ran out, and even the young man quickly moved out. The group of people went to catch the monkey. Unfortunately, the snow-white monkey was too fast, and these people could only eat the dust behind it. However, fortunately, they didn't lose it this time. A trace of anger appeared on the snow-white monkey's face. Its black gem-like eyes turned, and then it ran in the direction of the cave. Whoosh! The snow-white monkey jumped back and returned to Lin Xian's side. Hey, there's someone in front. Someone in the group exclaimed. I don't care if there's someone or not. What I want is mine. The young man didn't have any worries and directly rushed forward. The people behind him could only hurry to follow. It's frozen. Is it frozen to death? Someone was puzzled. Everyone looked at the figure in front and saw that the person was sitting on a block of ice. His whole body was frozen, and he was motionless. This young man was Lin Xian. He didn't expect the snow-white monkey to bring back such a group of people. The gray-robed elder's eyes flashed. He stared at the block of ice that Lin Xian was sitting on. Young master, we're rich. The gray-robed elder's voice trembled. If I'm not wrong, that should be the legendary frost platform. That's a treasure for cultivation. The gray-robed elder was excited. He couldn't wait to snatch it. Frost platform? The young man pondered. The others in the group were also confused. With it, your cultivation speed can increase by 3 to 5 times. The gray-robed elder quickly explained. Gulp, gulp. The sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard from the group. The group of people all stared at the round block of ice. What are we waiting for? Hurry up and snatch it. The young man's eyes lit up. Immediately, a few people rushed over and tried to grab the frost platform. Hua! Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was like a sword, cold and terrifying. Crack, crack, crack. The ice on his body shattered, revealing Lin Xian's real body. Those people stopped and looked at Lin Xian cautiously. The gray-robed elder's expression changed. He spoke first. Our young master has taken a fancy to the rock you're sitting on. Why don't you name a price? Rock? Lin Xian's lips curled up. He had heard their conversation. Slowly standing up, Lin Xian waved his sleeve and put away the frost platform. Not for sale. Lin Xian said coldly. Wuchi, wuchi. The snow-white monkey jumped onto Lin Xian's shoulder and started to gesture. Brat, do you know who we are? How dare you talk to our young master like that? Someone in the group shouted. All right, stop talking nonsense. The young master was obviously impatient, snatched the frost platform and the little monkey, then break his limbs and throw him into the wolf pack. Chapter 195. That youngster was very arrogant. Not only did he want to rob, but he also threatened to cripple Lin Xian and feed him to the wolves. Which family's disciple was this, to be so cruel? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked at the group of people opposite him. There were about 10 people, all of whom were at the 4th sky of the spiritual ocean tier, and above. Among them, the gray-robed elder had reached the 6th sky of the spiritual ocean tier, and the 3 people beside the youngster were at the peak of the 5th sky. With this kind of combination, other than harmonious spirit realm old monsters, no one feared them at all. Lin Xian didn't make a move. His body flashed, and he was about to leave. Want to leave? Not so easy. The 3 martial artists near Lin Xian attacked instantly, 3 surging waves of power gushing out. If it was a normal martial artist at the 3rd sky of the spiritual ocean tier, he would have died long ago under such a pincer attack. Lin Xian used the wind thunder step and dodged the 3's attacks. He can actually dodge. The 3 martial artists were surprised. Attack with full force. This youngster has a great treasure on him, so his strength is definitely not ordinary. The gray-robed elder said, "Kill him directly, don't hold back." The three martial artists at the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean tier smiled malevolently and surrounded Lin Xian. "Youngster, when you reincarnate in your next life, keep your eyes open, daring to offend our young master. You're courting death." The three attacked together, and the terrifying waves of power were enough to injure a martial artist at the fifth layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Lin Xian's eyes focused. These people kept looking for trouble and didn't take him seriously at all. He wasn't one to look for trouble, but he wasn't afraid of it either. Now that someone wanted to kill him, he obviously wouldn't show mercy. Lightning storm. Within 10 meters, there was a sudden storm and lightning, as if it was the end of the world. Pitter-patter, with a loud sound, the three fell to the ground, their bodies charred black. What? The people opposite were stunned, unable to believe it for a moment. The gray-robed elder's face was gloomy as he kept sizing up Lin Xian, as if thinking about something. "Youngster, you dare to kill my people. Do you know who I am?" The youngster roared, his eyes full of anger. He came to Xia and didn't take anyone seriously, but he didn't expect to suffer a loss in this snow mountain. "Go, kill him, brat, surrender obediently," the gray-robed old man said coldly. "Although your strength is extraordinary, you have no chance of winning against us. Moreover, our elders are guests at the snow-seeking sect. Do you think you have a chance to escape?" Since the fight had started, Lin Xian could not possibly let these people leave. His body turned into a ray of light and quickly rushed over. With a flick of his finger, the autumn scar sword appeared in his hand. Chi! With a flash of sword light, a martial artist fell to the ground with a loud bang. "Everyone back off!" The gray-robed elder yelled. He could tell that Lin Xian was extraordinary, and that normal martial artists at the fourth sky of the spiritual ocean realm were no match for him. The group of people retreated and stared cautiously at Lin Xian. "Elder Zhou, let us do it," the three martial artists who had been protecting the young master said. "All right." The gray-robed elder nodded. The three of them appeared in a flash and surrounded Lin Xian in a triangular formation. "Let me see what level the martial artists of the Xia are at." One of them snorted coldly. Lin Xian was slightly shocked. It seemed that these people were not from the Xia. Then he had even less to worry about. If he let these people go, they would definitely chase after him endlessly. Moreover, there were elders at the snow-seeking sect. Those who could be called elders should be old monsters at the harmonious spirit realm. For his own safety, Lin Xian could only use his full strength. With a swing of the autumn scar sword, a sharp sword light flew out. Shadow sword formation. The three of them worked together and performed a formation, trapping Lin Xian within. A human figure flew out with a sharp sword in his hand, thrusting towards Lin Xian. Wind-splitting style. With a thrust of the sword, the human figure was mercilessly torn apart and turned into energy again, merging into the sword formation. Wind-blending style. The soundless sword Qi pierced towards one of the martial artists. The air was torn apart as the dazzling sword light slashed towards the waist of the martial artist. "It's useless." With the three of them working together, the sword formation shone brightly, dissolving Lin Xian's attack. "We have even trapped a martial artist at the sixth sky of the spiritual sea realm, let alone a kid at the third sky of the spiritual sea realm. Hand over the thing, and we'll leave your corpse intact. Or else, humph." The three of them sounded cold as their attacks suddenly became sharp. Dozens of sword shadows flew towards him from all angles, covering his entire body. The sword Qi screamed, as if they were real swords. The power was comparable to an attack from a martial artist at the sixth sky of the spiritual sea realm. Lin Xian's body also turned into countless phantoms, flying in all directions. Chi, 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 chi. Almost 90% of the phantoms were pierced through by the sword Chi. Lin Xian's real body was also attacked. Dang. He raised his sword to block, but his arm was numb from the impact. Such terrifying power. Lin Xian was slightly shocked. This sword formation could combine the power of the three of them, releasing the power of a martial artist at the sixth sky of the spiritual sea realm. And when they were attacked, they could split the attack into three parts, sharing the burden. Lin Xian's purple spirit eyes flashed, and he understood in an instant. I can only break their sword formation. Purple light flashed in his eyes, and an invisible soul power pierced towards one of the martial artists. Ah, that martial artist screamed, and the aura on his body froze. Wind Emperor's sword. Lin Xian operated the sword intent, unleashing the Wind Emperor's sword, and piercing towards that martial artist. Blood splattered, and a sword cut the throat. The sword formation broke by itself, and the remaining two martial artists were shocked. Their sword formation had never failed before, but today it was broken by someone, and one of them even died. You're courting deaths. The two of them were furious and attacked crazily. Sword intent surged, and Lin Xian's aura rose to the extreme. Sword intent. It's actually sword intent. The two martial artists' faces were pale, and their auras were suppressed. The people in the distance were shocked when they came, as if they didn't expect to see martial artists who comprehended sword intent here. Although your sword intent is strong, your cultivation is weak. Die. The two of them resisted the pressure, and their long swords pierced towards Lin Xian fiercely. Soul assassination. Lin Xian unleashed the purple spirit eyes attack, and his powerful soul power turned into a sharp spike, piercing towards one of them. Lion's roar. Lin Xian attacked consecutively, unleashing the sound wave attack again. The two of them were shocked mentally, especially the martial artist who was hit by the soul assassination, who lost his mind for a short while. In a battle between experts, they fought for the initiative. The Autumn Scar sword was as cold as water, and with a flash of light, a head flew. Ah, the last martial artist retreated crazily with fear. Devil, he's a devil. Too horrifying. Two martial artists in the fifth layer of the spiritual ocean realm died so easily, and the opponent was a martial artist in the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Is he still human? Are all the martial artists in the Xia so powerful? All of a sudden, the group of people in the distance turned pale, and it was terrifyingly quiet. Lin Xian waved his long sword, and a 2-meter-long half-moon-shaped sword Qi flew out like moonlight. Pooh! The man who ran away was cut in half, falling onto the ground. Gulp! The group of people took 2 steps back uneasily, and the arrogant young master's face was also pale. Elder Zhou, he shouted nervously. Don't worry, young master. He's not my opponent. The aura inside the gray-robed old man's body exploded completely, like a raging sea, making his heart tremble. Lin Xian's aura froze, and he felt a pressure that made his movements slow down, as expected of a martial artist in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Kid, die. The gray-robed old man stepped out, and his 5 fingers formed a claw, grabbing forward. Chapter 196. Eagle Claw Hand. 5 streaks of light flew out from his fingers, forming a giant claw dozens of meters long in the air, crashing down. Hong! The ground split open, and 5 deep trenches appeared, dozens of meters long, hideous and terrifying. Lin Xian dodged quickly, and a blue bead appeared in his hand. This was a thunder bead, obtained from Song Lei that day. It was said to be able to kill all martial artists below the 7th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Lin Xian charged out, dashing towards the gray-robed old man. In the sky, the giant eagle claw appeared again, slapping down in an extremely fierce manner. Air-piercing sounds rang out one after another, as if 5 spears pierced out, piercing through the air. Lin Xian was like a wisp of green smoke, floating in the wind. He dodged all the seemingly dangerous attacks. Whoosh! Moving again, he flicked out the thunder bead in his hand. The thunder bead seemed to merge into the wind, not producing a trace of fluctuation. Only when he approached the gray-robed old man did the latter discover the existence of the thunder bead. The youth in the distance sneered. He decided that after capturing Lin Xian, he would torture him to death. However, a deafening rumble woke him up. The place where the gray-robed old man was shrouded in a terrifying lightning energy. The area dozens of meters around was filled with blue lightning, as if thunder dragons were rolling. Lightning flashed everywhere, and the group was stunned. That young master's expression was very interesting, changing many times before finally revealing panic. "Young master, don't worry. Elder Zhou is a martial artist at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. He should be fine." The lightning dissipated, and the situation inside was revealed. A large pit dozens of meters in diameter, more than 10 meters deep, and charred black on top. The gray-robed old man was covered in blood. One of his arms seemed to have been blown off, and a terrifying wound appeared on his chest. "Brat, I want you dead." The gray-robed old man's expression was hideous. Every time he spoke, he would spit out large amounts of blood. He was severely injured. If you didn't have bad intentions back then, this wouldn't be the result now. Lin Xian's voice was cold. "You brought this upon yourselves." Wind Emperor's sword. His body became erratic, as if he was in a dream, and his speed was extremely fast. As the sword light flashed, the gray-robed elder's eyes widened, and he fell to the ground with hatred. Lin Xian turned around and looked indifferently at the group of people in the distance. You don't come over." The young master's voice was trembling. He no longer had the arrogance from before. "We are from Shadow Country's Chu family. If you kill us, you won't be able to escape." Lin Xian was silent as he walked forward step by step. "Remember, you must be a good person in your next life." His voice was cold as he slowly raised his sword. "Run." This group of people couldn't hold it in any longer and fled in all directions. "As long as one of you escapes, you will die without a burial ground." The young master said with a ferocious expression, "Is that so?" Lin Xian stabbed out with his sword, and a green-gold sword wave spread out in all directions with him as the center. Puff, puff. Any martial artists that encountered the sword wave were all chopped into 2 halves. The wind thunder sword wave's attack range was very large, and it could now kill everyone within 20 meters. None of those martial artists escaped, including the young master, who was also chopped into 2 halves by the sword wave. After taking away their storage rings, Lin Xian quickly left. A cold wind blew, and snow filled the surroundings. Quickly covering these people, Lin Xian ran all the way to the Fire Province. He tamed a snow wolf as a means of transportation, and he was constantly in a state of cultivation. Seeing that he was about to reach the border of the Snow Province, Lin Xian woke up from his cultivation. He was now at the peak of the 3rd layer of the Spirit Sea realm and would soon break through to the 4th layer. This was all thanks to the ice platform. Otherwise, he would need at least 2 to 3 months to reach the peak of the 3rd layer. "Seems like your improvement is faster than I imagined," Lord Alcohol said with a smile. "You can proceed to the next step." Lin Xian nodded. He naturally knew what the next step meant. Now that he had adapted to the cold air of the ice platform, he could try to use the mystic ice chi to temper his body. Of course, no matter how strong he was, he couldn't directly touch a wisp of mystic ice chi. One had to know that even someone as strong as the mysterious green-haired man was frozen, let alone him. Lord Alcohol divided the wisp of mystic ice chi into 9 wisps, allowing Lin Xian to withstand the cold air and temper his body. I can begin. But before that, I need to tidy up. He rode the snow wolf to a clean place. With a flip of his palm, all the storage rings of the Chu family martial artists appeared in his hand. Among them, Lin Xian was most interested in the storage rings of two people. One was the young masters, and the other was the gray-clothed elders. He first looked at the gray-clothed elders' storage ring. There were 500,000 low-grade spirit stones, 3 human-grade artifacts, and some elixirs. In addition, there were some martial techniques. For example, there was a low-grade spirit-grade martial technique, Eagle Claw. Lin Xian had already seen the power of this martial technique. Although he wasn't interested in cultivating it, he could sell it for money. A low-grade spirit-grade martial technique was worth about 3,000 mid-grade spirit stones. It could be said to be quite valuable. After looking at the gray-clothed elder's storage ring, Lin Xian probed the young master's storage ring with his soul force. Lin Xian sighed softly. The items inside were even richer than the gray-clothed elders. As expected of the young master of a large family clan, Lin Xian took a rough look and found 800,000 low-grade spirit stones, 500 mid-grade spirit stones, a black-grade spear, several cultivation techniques, and an ancient map. Just the items of these two people were worth more than 2 million low-grade spirit stones. Lin Xian took out the map and looked at it carefully. The map was the size of 2 palms, but it wasn't complete. The edges seemed to have been cut by a sharp weapon. Some of the mountain peaks were marked with red dots. Lin Xian counted a total of 5 red dots. At the bottom of the map, there was the word spirit. It was bold and powerful. Spirit. Lin Xian's eyes flashed as he suddenly recalled the map Lin Feng had obtained from the auction. Spirit-grade treasure? His voice was filled with uncertainty. Forget it. I'll take a look after the matter with the inscription tower is over. After putting away everything, Lin Xian transmitted his voice to Lord Alcohol. He wanted to thoroughly study the green-haired man and see what he was. A black vortex appeared out of thin air as a huge ice sculpture fell to the ground. Lin Xian approached and stared at the green-haired man inside. Although the green-haired man was frozen inside, his eyes seemed to be able to move. When he saw Lin Xian, 2 balls of green flames appeared in his eyes. Damn, he's still alive. Lin Xian cursed softly. Lord Alcohol, do you have any way to investigate his identity? Although he's only an avatar, I can still place a slave seal on him and make him obey you. Lord Alcohol smiled indifferently. Slave imprint? Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. It's decided then. In the ice, the green-haired man seemed to have heard Lin Xian's words. The green light in his eyes flickered, and he was furious. However, it's not easy to use a slave seal. First, you need to raise your soul power to the level of a 2nd-grade inscription master, Lord Alcohol said slowly. Chapter 197. 2nd-grade inscription. Lin Xian murmured. He had been a 1st-grade inscription master for a long time and could now refine 1st-grade spirit wine on his own. However, it wasn't that easy to become a 2nd-grade inscription master. It was a qualitative leap from 1st grade to 2nd grade. It required the soul seal in the inscription master's mind to split from 1 seal into 2. Apart from having a strong soul power, it also required a special technique. However, with Lord Alcohol around, he didn't have to worry about the technique. He only needed to increase his soul power. After putting away the huge ice sculpture, Lin Xian whispered, Lord Alcohol, let's begin the refinement of the mystic ice chi. The process will be a little painful. You have to bear with it. Lin Xian nodded and formed a seal with both hands. Lord Alcohol injected a wisp of mystic ice chi into his body and circulated it through his spirit meridians. A strange cold energy instantly spread throughout his body, as if thousands of ice needles were stabbing into him. Not only his physical body, but even his soul seemed to have been frozen. Lin Xian's face turned bitter. How is this a little painful? This is F asterisk King Painful. It was 100 times colder than the ice platform. Gradually, Lin Xian's consciousness became blurry, the great dragon sword seal in his mind, and the sword intent in his body rumbled together, releasing a will that gradually woke Lin Xian up. The longevity art in his body circulated throughout his body. At the same time, he tried to make the great dragon sword seal and the sword intent seed resonate. This would allow him to stay awake. This unintentional action of his caused a huge impact. In his mind, the great dragon sword seal seemed to transform into an azure dragon that kept tumbling. The sword intent seed also kept buzzing. Finally, the mysterious small sword in his body vibrated gently and emitted a gentle light. Roar! The great dragon sword seal transformed into an azure dragon and flew out of his mind, rushing towards the sword intent seed. The two collided and fused together perfectly. The fused great dragon sword seal flew onto the mysterious small sword and formed a huge dragon pattern. Only the dragon's head was clear, and the other parts were blurry. Lin Xian felt that his sword intent had become much stronger. If it was 10% in the past, now it was at least 20%. Normally, 30% sword intent was considered small success sword intent. Lin Xian was only a step away from small success. From now on, I'll call you the great dragon sword intent, Lin Xian said in his heart, as if it had heard Lin Xian's voice. The dragon pattern on the mysterious dagger emitted a dazzling light. With the great dragon sword intent, Lin Xian's resistance to the mystic ice chi was also a bit stronger. Lord Alcohol controlled the mystic ice chi and kept marveling. He hadn't expected the great dragon sword seal to fuse with the seed of sword intent. Perhaps one day you will really find the real one, Lord Alcohol whispered, as his voice turned softer. 5 minutes later, Lord Alcohol removed the mystic ice chi. Lin Xian's entire body had turned blue from the cold, and there was a faint blue glow on his skin. He channeled the art of longevity. The spirit ocean inside his body shook, and 3 waves rumbled. A warm current spread throughout his body. A moment later, he recovered. The most direct feeling was that his mind had become much clearer, and his senses had become sharper. Gently raising his hand, Lin Xian quickly drew an inscription in the air. The entire process was smooth without any pause. My speed is actually twice as fast as before. Lin Xian was delighted. This inscription was very complicated. In the past, he would have needed dozens of seconds to draw it, but now he only needed a dozen seconds to complete it. Furthermore, his movements were much smoother. As expected of the mystic ice chi, it's really effective. Lin Xian was overjoyed. I didn't freeze for nothing. Not only had his soul power strengthened, but his body had also become much stronger. Lin Xian felt that his body was like a furnace, and his qi and blood were exuberant. Boom. He punched out, creating a vacuum in the air. If he encountered Yan Hui now, he could probably defeat him in one move. Lin Xian was filled with confidence. Feeling the changes in his body, Lin Xian worked even harder. He took out the frost platform and sat cross-legged on it. After drinking a cup of spirit wine, he began to cultivate his spiritual sea. The night passed in silence as he cultivated. The next day, Lin Xian rode on the snow wolf and set off again. Half a day later, he arrived outside a city, Cold Wind City. Lin Xian looked at the large words on the city gate and jumped off the snow wolf. Go back. He patted the snow wolf's head and released the control. The snow wolf howled at the sky and then quickly left. After entering the city, Lin Xian found a restaurant and ordered a few exquisite dishes. He slowly tasted them. These few days he had been walking on the mountain roads. His body and mind were somewhat tired. He needed a good rest. Cultivation was like a spring. It emphasized tension and relaxation. He couldn't be too relaxed. If he was too relaxed, he would fall behind and become lazy. But he couldn't be too tense either. Under high pressure for a long time, a martial artist would collapse. Balancing tension and relaxation was the way of the king. This restaurant was called the Snow Crane Restaurant. It was said that a peerless expert had arrived here on a snow crane, so the descendants named it after the snow crane. After going up to the second floor, Lin Xian found that the windows upstairs were all hollow and inlaid with ice sculptures. Most of them were carved with snow cranes. It was said that this was one of the characteristics of this restaurant. Lin Xian drank while listening to the discussions of others. The snow-seeking sex banquet had just ended. At this time, most of the martial artists were discussing this matter. Did you guys know? The banquet this time was too exciting, and a genius even appeared. Someone said mysteriously, "Genius? What genius?" Some people did not understand. A swordsman named Lin Xian. It is said that he comprehended sword intent. Sword intent. Most people did not believe it. Really? You haven't been there. How would you know? Humph. I didn't go, but my senior brother went. According to him, that Lin Xian is not only a genius who comprehended sword intent, but also a disciple of the Sword Pool Mansion. Sword Pool Mansion, many martial artists suddenly realized, and then began to discuss, this Sword Pool Mansion is worthy of being called a big sect in the world. First there is a genius like Lin Feng, and now there is a Lin Xian. This is nothing. I bought the Hidden Dragon list the day before yesterday. It is clearly marked that this Lin Xian is already ranked 20th on the list. A group of people discussed, mostly around the various geniuses. Of course, the one who was mentioned the most was Lin Xian. It couldn't be helped. An unknown kid had suddenly become a martial artist ranked 20th on the Hidden Dragon roll. This change was too big. Almost everyone was paying attention to him. Hey, do you know? It is said that something big happened in the snow-seeking sect. Someone said, it seems that someone from the Shadow Country was killed on the way. Their bodies were buried in the snow. Where is the murderer? Someone asked. I don't know. He escaped long ago. When Lin Xian heard this, his eyebrows twitched. He did not expect the Chu family to find out so quickly. However, he was not afraid. He didn't leave any clues, so no one would suspect him. As he was thinking, a figure sat opposite him. Chapter 198. Why are you here? I've been looking for you for a long time. A slightly coquettish voice sounded as a young woman sat across from Lin Xian. This woman was about 20 years old and had a beautiful face. She stared at Lin Xian with a pair of enchanting eyes. You must have mistaken me for someone else. Lin Xian frowned. How could that be? Even if you turned into ashes, I would still recognize you. The beautiful woman picked up the wine on the table and drank. Lin Xian looked at the woman in front of him with a puzzled expression. Suddenly, his brows twitched, and he looked ahead. There were a few figures flickering about, their eyes carrying cold intent. Most of those eyes were looking at the woman across from Lin Xian, but they were also looking at Lin Xian with hostility. Obviously, they had grouped Lin Xian and the young woman together. Lin Xian's face darkened. He was inexplicably being used as a shield, which made him unhappy, especially when he didn't know who these people were. You want to use me as a shield? I'm afraid you've made the wrong decision. Lin Xian sneered and was about to leave. Wait. The young woman's face changed, and she was clearly anxious. I beg you, please save me. Her eyes were filled with pleading, and she had a delicate and pitiful look. The underworld is dangerous. Forgive me for being powerless. Lin Xian didn't want to be involved in other people's struggles. Please rest assured, young master, as long as you help, I will definitely repay you with a great gift. Seeing that Lin Xian was unmoved, the young woman gritted her teeth and sent a voice transmission, one ancient inscription. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows and coldly stared at her, as if he would attack at any moment. The young woman couldn't help but shiver. She quickly said, "Young master, don't misunderstand. You are the only inscription master in the entire restaurant. This little woman knows." Lin Xian's gaze softened. He knew that if a person's soul force was strong, they would definitely be able to sense other inscription masters. "Is there really an ancient inscription?" Lin Xian slowly asked, and the young girl nodded. "I hope you're not lying to me, or else." Lin Xian didn't finish his sentence, but the warning was obvious. He stood up and said indifferently, "Come with me." The young girl breathed a sigh of relief and followed closely behind Lin Xian. She was indeed being followed. After arriving at this restaurant, she could tell at a glance that Lin Xian was not an ordinary person. His soul power was far stronger than that of an ordinary first-grade inscription master. This made her see a life-saving straw. Lin Xian rented a pavilion with a courtyard and walked in with the young girl. "All right, you can take out the ancient inscriptions now," Lin Xian said calmly. The young woman's expression changed again and again. "Young master, my danger is not over yet." Seeing Lin Xian's eyes gradually turning cold, the young woman hurriedly said, "The ancient inscription is definitely not a lie. As long as you can escort me to Dragon Rocky City, I'm willing to offer it with both hands." Dragon Rocky City. Lin Xian looked at the young woman in surprise. "You're not afraid that I'll kill you and steal your goods?" Lin Xian looked at her with a faint smile. Young master's eyes are clear. Although they are a little sharp, they are very pure. The young woman said, "I believe in young master. I can send you to Dragon Rocky City, but shouldn't you tell me about your situation? If it's a harmonious spirit old monster chasing after you, I won't be able to do anything." Lin Xian's tone was obviously much gentler. He sat down leisurely and poured a pot of tea. "My name is Zhao Shui. I'm not from Xia. Because I obtained an ancient inscription, I'm being chased. The one chasing after me is Shadow Country's Purple Extreme Demon Palace. This time, there are no harmonious spirit experts. Young master can rest assured about this." Purple Extreme Demon Palace? Lin Xian didn't know about Shadow Country's power. "I wonder how this Purple Extreme Demon Palace compares to Chu family?" Zhao Shui was obviously stunned for a moment, then said, "Chu family strength is equivalent to a one-star sect, while Purple Extreme Demon Sect is an authentic two-star sect. Moreover, Chu family is a subsidiary family of Purple Extreme Demon Sect." Zhao Shui didn't hide anything, because this information could be found out with a simple investigation. There was no point in hiding it. Instead, it would cause Lin Xian to be dissatisfied. Two-star sect. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He said slowly, "I can only help you within the limits of my ability. If it's beyond my ability, you can only run for your life." "Thank you, young master, for your help." Zhao Shui's face lit up. "How should I address you?" Zhao Shui asked. "Lin Xian." Zhao Shui repeated this name softly, then asked, "When are we leaving?" "Tomorrow. We'll leave for Fire Province first." At night, the sky was dotted with stars. A few silhouettes were patrolling nearby, carefully inspecting the surroundings. "That woman is here. Other than her, there's also a third-level spiritual sea brat. Humph, just kill him." This voice was filled with disdain. "Don't be careless. Although that brat's cultivation is weak, his soul power is strong. He should be a first-rank rune master." This voice was very calm and didn't underestimate Lin Xian. "This time, our target is the item on that woman. Nothing else is important. Later, Purple 8 will stop that brat. The rest of you, follow me to capture that woman." The calm voice said. The few of them didn't hide their presence and directly rushed in. 5 powerful presences suddenly appeared, and Zhao Shui, who was on the second floor, was obviously shocked. Lin Xian opened his eyes and the autumn scar sword appeared in his hand. He had already sensed that there were people outside, and had been maintaining his battle state. Shwa! A purple figure appeared in front of him, blocking his path. This was a young man with a purple cloak behind him, and an evil smile on his face. Brat, stay here obediently and don't move. Maybe I'll leave your corpse intact. This young man was in the fifth sky of the spiritual sea realm and didn't take Lin Xian seriously at all. Lin Xian sensed the situation on the second floor and knew that Zhao Shui was in danger. Since he had promised her, he would protect her with all his might. The autumn scar sword flashed, and the wind monarch stabbed out. The sword light flashed through the room, and Lin Xian's body turned into wind and thunder and flew out. The purple-robed young man covered his throat and fell down with endless unwillingness. Until his death, he couldn't believe that a warrior in the third level of the spiritual sea realm could kill him with one sword. Lin Xian didn't stop, and his body flashed to the second floor. Zhao Shui waved out rosa palm shadows and struggled to hold on. She was about to be captured. Suddenly, a sword light flashed, and a green-gold sword chi fell down, saving Zhao Shui. It's you? How could you be here? Where is Purple 8? The 4 purple-robed warriors were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to suddenly rush up. He's already gone to see the King of Hell. Lin Xian said lightly, What? You killed Purple 8? They were all furious. How dare you kill someone from the Purple Extreme Demon Palace? No one can save you. Go. Out of the 4 warriors, 2 of them rushed towards Lin Xian, and the other 2 ran towards Zhao Shui. Thousand Snakes greeting. Lin Xian swept his long sword and used the golden sword sex move. Thousands of sword chi turned into spiritual snakes and rushed towards the 4. Chapter 199. Sword chi snakes tore at the 4 purple-robed martial artists crazily. Lin Xian pushed back 2 purple-robed martial artists with one sword, and with a suction force, pulled Zhao Shui behind him. Kid, how dare you obstruct our Purple Extreme Demon Palace's work? You don't know how to write the word death. One of the martial artists roared, and suddenly punched out with his right fist. The fist was ferocious, like a tiger pouncing, rushing over with an aura that could destroy everything. Lin Xian stabbed out with his long sword, fast to the extreme. Before the violent fist technique arrived, Lin Xian's long sword had already pierced the opponent. His defense shattered, and the armor on his body was also penetrated. The purple-robed martial artist still maintained his punching posture, but the spirit energy on his body quickly receded. Plop! The purple-robed martial artist fell to the ground, and a bull-sized sword mark appeared on his chest. Zhao Shui stood behind Lin Xian watching the scene and covered her mouth tightly. She didn't expect Lin Xian's sword technique to be so powerful, to be able to kill a martial artist in the 5th tier of the spiritual sea realm with one sword. The remaining 3 people looked terrible. Their Purple Extreme Demon Palace had always run amok in Shadow Country, and who would have thought that they would fall at the hands of a kid? Zilu, Ziqi, the 2 of you attacked together, the middle-aged man in the lead said coldly. Yes. The 2 youths flanked Lin Xian from the left and right, one sword and one blade, slashing towards Lin Xian. At the same time, a purple glow appeared in the middle-aged man's eyes, and an invisible soul force rushed towards Lin Xian. Seeing the purple glow in the middle-aged man's eyes, Lin Xian's face changed slightly. Without much time to think, he used Purple Spirit Pupil to resist the opponent's soul attack. At the same time, he quickly stabbed out 2 wind fusion techniques. Sword Chi blended into the air silently, and with the support of Sword Intent, the attack power of the 2 Sword Chi reached the extreme. Pooh, pooh. The 2 martial artists couldn't defend in time, and with a scream, they fell down. You. The middle-aged man's face changed. Not only was he surprised by Lin Xian's powerful attack power, but he also stared at Lin Xian's eyes. How did you? Whoosh. Lin Xian used wind thunder steps and arrived in front of the middle-aged man in an instant. The autumn scar sword in his hand stabbed out continuously. His spiritual energy fluctuated uncontrollably, piercing many holes in the void. Bang! The middle-aged man felt the sharp aura of the sword and did not dare to face it head-on. He could only break through the window and escape. He landed on the ground and prepared to retreat. Lin Xian would not give him a chance at all. He merged his soul power into the ice and performed an offensive saint spell that relied heavily on sword will. Ice prison. The ice surface shattered, and 4 ice snakes bent their bodies, coiling around the purple-clothed middle-aged man's forelimbs, and held them tightly. The snake's head hissed, and the cold air quickly spread throughout his body. The purple-robed middle-aged man was shocked. The purple light in his eyes shone brightly, and the spiritual power on his body burned like a flame. Pung, pung, pung. The ice snake was shattered by the tyrannical power, and the purple-robed middle-aged man quickly escaped. Crack! Just as he moved, a huge ice spear shot out from the ground. Golden lightning circled around the spearhead. Pierce! Lin Xian growled. The purple-robed middle-aged man waved his palms, forming a light screen in front of him and blocking the spear. It's just a simplified version of the purple demon pupil. The purple-robed man landed on the ground and snorted. Today, I'll let you experience the true power of the purple demon pupil. The purple-robed middle-aged man's eyes flickered, and an invisible force pierced towards Lin Xian. Buzz. In an instant, Lin Xian felt his surroundings change. It was as if he had arrived in a strange space. Strangle! The purple-robed middle-aged man's voice sounded, and it was erratic. Lin Xian felt that he could not move. Countless sharp blades pierced his chest. Xiao Xuanzi, this is the spiritual world. Hurry up and escape. Lord Alcohol's voice sounded in Lin Xian's mind. Spiritual world? Lin Xian suddenly realized that he had fallen into a trap. Break! A dragon's roar sounded, and a huge azure dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It turned into a beam of sword light, instantly cutting through everything. Puff! The purple-robed, middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body swayed. Impossible! How did you escape? You only have a simplified demonic eye. The purple-robed man had a look of disbelief. Lin Xian's face was pale. He had suffered a mental attack and had almost died. What a strange attack! Lin Xian quickly attacked. Wind Emperor's sword. The power of wind and thunder moved together, and the sword was extremely fast. The purple-robed, middle-aged man had just reacted when his body was struck. However, as a leader, his ability was extraordinary. At the critical moment, he forcefully turned his body and avoided the attack. Puff! His chest was pierced. He was severely injured, but it was not fatal. Thunderstrike! Countless golden electric arcs surged out and exploded in the purple-robed man's body. In an instant, he was severely injured. No one can offend the purple extreme demon palace. The purple-robed man's face was ferocious. You will be hunted down endlessly. The cruelest torture in the world awaits you. The purple-robed, middle-aged man suddenly ignited all the spiritual energy in his body. His eyes became brighter and brighter, as if 2 balls of fire were burning. Chi! A purple light attacked Lin Xian as fast as lightning. Chapter 200. Which 2? Lin Xian asked telepathically. First, advance to a 2nd grade inscriber. At that time, with your soul power, you should be able to remove it. Second, perhaps that little girl's ancient inscription can give you some inspiration. Lord Alcohol explained the 2 methods. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Advancing to a second-grade inscriber wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. However, people from the Purple Demon Palace could appear at any time. If a martial artist at the 6th or 7th level of the Spirit C tier came, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui would be in trouble. Miss Xiao, there might be a way to remove the mark on my body. Are you willing to do it? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. What is it? Zhao Shui asked. She naturally hoped that Lin Xian would be fine. I wonder if you can let me take a look at your ancient inscription. It might be useful to me. This. Zhao Shui was stunned. Her eyes flashed, and she seemed to be struggling. Woochie woochie. Just as Lin Xian was waiting, the snow-white monkey suddenly appeared. It scratched its head with its claws, as if it understood Lin Xian's current situation. The snow-white monkey jumped onto Zhao Shui and blinked its black gem-like eyes. Swish! A white light flashed, and something appeared in the monkey's hand. This is? Lin Xian was stunned. The snow-white monkey had sped up again, and he couldn't see it clearly. Zhao Shui was even more surprised, and almost cried out. The snow-white monkey grinned, and carried the item back to Lin Xian's side. Taking the item from the monkey's hand, Lin Xian looked at it carefully. It was a round stone with a rough surface. On the other side of the stone were engraved an eyeball and scara. It's actually an eyeball. Lin Xian was surprised. He looked at Zhao Shui and saw the latter's shocked face. Could this be the ancient inscription you mentioned? Lin Xian's heart suddenly stirred. Zhao Shui nodded sadly, her expression unnatural. Don't worry, I'll return it to you when I'm done, Lin Xian said in a low voice. Zhao Shui raised her head slightly, her eyes filled with surprise. When ordinary inscription masters encountered such ancient inscriptions, most of them would go crazy. How could they be like Lin Xian, who was so calm that it was terrifying? How could she have known that Lin Xian had too many good things on him? The value of the mysterious small sword and the great dragon sword intent were both above that of the ancient inscription. Placing the stone eyeball in his palm, Lin Xian stared at it. With purple light flashing in his eyes, Lin Xian slowly approached with his soul power. Wang! The stone eyeball suddenly glowed, and a strange rune appeared on its surface. Lin Xian had never seen such a complicated inscription before. It was far beyond his knowledge. He wasn't able to comprehend what it contained at the moment, so he could only temporarily copy the diagram into his mind. After ensuring that his copy was accurate, Lin Xian returned the stone eyeball to Zhao Shui. Zhao Shui carefully caught it and said softly, "You're a good person." Lin Xian smiled bitterly and didn't reply. Instead, he closed his eyes and began to study the ancient inscription he had obtained. It didn't matter if he couldn't understand it. With Lord Alcohol as an inscription master, Lin Xian wasn't worried at all. After passing the ancient inscription to Lord Alcohol, Lin Xian began to cultivate. He took out the ice platform and sat cross-legged on it, then activated the longevity art. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 3rd tier of the spiritual sea realm. After tonight's battle, he had a feeling that he was about to break through. Zhao Shui felt a chill. She looked at Lin Xian in surprise again, then held the stone eyeball and began to comprehend it. Both of them were trying their best to increase their strength, leaving only the little white monkey rolling on the ground. Fortunately, the little monkey didn't leave this time, nor did it attract a group of people. 2 hours later, Lin Xian's aura became stronger and stronger. Around him, there were 3 layers of wave-like ripples emitting powerful energy. On top of that, the 4th layer of waves was faintly discernible, emitting an even more powerful energy. Zhao Shui was awakened by this aura. Her mouth opened slightly, and she looked at Lin Xian in disbelief. With her cultivation at the 5th tier of the spiritual sea realm, she actually felt powerless in front of Lin Xian. This wasn't pressure from the aura, but from the quality of their spiritual power. She realized that the quality of Lin Xian's spiritual power was very high, almost not inferior to a martial artist at the 5th tier of the spiritual sea realm. This was all thanks to the longevity art. The quality and quantity of Fairy Lin Xian's spiritual power were equivalent to a martial artist at the 5th tier of the spiritual sea realm, and his strength was equivalent to a martial artist at the 6th tier of the spiritual sea realm. Boom! A majestic aura spread out like a wave, blowing away all the snow in the surroundings. Lin Xian slowly opened his eyes, which shone brightly. He felt that his entire body was filled with power. He could now compete with a martial artist at the 6th tier of the spiritual sea realm. Congratulations to Lin Gongzi for breaking through, Zhao Shui said from the side. Thank you, Lin Xian said lightly. He wasn't too surprised. To him, breaking through was a matter of time. Rest. We'll head to the Fire Province tomorrow. Zhao Shui nodded and began to comprehend again. The night was silent. On the second day, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui set off early. The two used their lightness techniques and quickly shuttled through Lin Xian. Half a day later, they left the Snow Province. Not long after they left, a few people in purple came to the small courtyard where Lin Xian used to live. Chapter 201. It had to be said that Lord Alcohol was too powerful. He could actually evolve so many ocular attacks from an ancient inscription. Lin Xian was very interested in the soul fire. He realized that Lord Alcohol had split the soul fire's attack into 2 inscriptions. One was an attack on the body, while the other was an attack on the soul. Clearly, the attack on the soul was more dangerous. According to Lord Alcohol, the soul fire would transform into a ball of flames that would burn the opponent to ashes. However, the flames were very domineering and would also damage one's eyes. Soul fire. Lin Xian kept repeating. Can it be transformed into a soul sword? After all, I have the great dragon sword intent. It would be a pity if I didn't use it, Lin Xian asked. In theory, yes, but it seems more dangerous, Lord Alcohol said slowly. Lord Alcohol said slowly, practice the first inscription first. Let me think about this sort of soul. In the following days, Lin Xian began to comprehend the first inscription. Purple light flickered in his eyes and gradually formed an inscription, but it quickly dissipated. Lin Xian wasn't angry. He knew that this ocular technique couldn't be learned in a day. He had to practice diligently. 3 days later, a strange inscription appeared in Lin Xian's right eye, emitting a mysterious aura. In the distance, a goshawk flew past. Lin Xian aimed his right eye at the goshawk, and his soul power vibrated. Buzz. He seemed to see the goshawk's soul being pulled into an independent mental space, and he was the master of this space. In an instant, the goshawk in the sky froze and fell straight down. Go. Lin Xian canceled the mental space and released the goshawk's soul. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 10-meter-long goshawk spread its wings and quickly fled. Lin Xian slowly exhaled. He had just mastered the mental space and could only maintain it for 3 breaths of time. However, as his soul power increased, the duration would increase. Furthermore, his mental space would become more complete. In about 2 days, we will reach the fire state. Zhao Shui quickly said when she saw Lin Xian wake up. When she saw that Lin Xian's eye technique had improved once again, she was greatly shocked. One had to know that she had been comprehending it for such a long time, but she had only scratched the surface. Lin Xian, on the other hand, seemed to know more than she did. Roar! Suddenly, a roar came from afar, shaking the surroundings into silence. The demon tiger that Lin Xian was sitting on trembled, as if it had also been frightened. Lin Xian was flabbergasted. These 2 demon tigers were 4th-ranked demonic beasts, and as tigers, they were the kings of all beasts. but now a single roar had actually caused their bodies to tremble. One could only imagine how powerful the demonic beast in the distance was. Zhao Shui seemed to be aware of the danger too. She said coquettishly, "Let's go around." Lin Xian nodded and was about to agree. Suddenly, the snow-white little monkey rushed out and gestured at Lin Xian. "Are you saying there are treasures?" Lin Xian's face lit up. The last time the snow-white little monkey had such an expression was when he obtained the frost platform and the mysterious ice aura. Woo woo woo. The snow-white little monkey bared its teeth, and its gem-like eyes narrowed into crescents. "Let's go and take a look." Lin Xian called out to Zhao Shui. "Lin Gongzi, let's not go. Let's reach Dragon Cliff City earlier." Zhao Shui's face was filled with worry. "I came out this time to gain experience. Moreover, there are still 2.5 months before the Battle of the Inscription Tower. There is enough time." Lin Xian did not stop. Instead, he controlled the demon tiger and ran in the direction of the roar. Zhao Shui gritted her teeth and could only follow quickly. Although there were many demonic beasts in the forest, some of the weaker ones were all stunned when they saw the two demon tiger. As for the stronger ones, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui could rely on their outstanding soul power to avoid them. Therefore, the two of them had a very smooth journey. Roar! Another earth-shattering roar sounded, as if countless bolts of lightning had struck down. Lin Xian seemed to feel the restlessness of the golden electric arcs in his body, and a trace of doubt appeared in his heart. Could it be related to lightning? Lin Xian guessed. Then all the more we can't miss it. The closer they got to the roar, the slower the two demon tigers' speed became. In the end, the two demon tiger simply stopped moving. Their bodies lay on the ground, trembling nonstop. To be able to cause such an effect, it was at least a rank 5 demonic beast that was equivalent to a martial artist in the 7th layer of the spiritual C tier. Zhao Shui's face was filled with worry. "Lin Gongzi, are we still going?" "Yes, I feel that there is a treasure there. Moreover, that thing seems to be fated with me," Lin Xian said. Zhao Shui looked at Lin Xian in surprise, her beautiful eyes filled with surprise. "It said it. I'm just translating." Lin Xian pointed at the snow-white monkey with a smile on his face. The snow-white monkey sat on Lin Xian's shoulder, crossed its legs, and supported its chin with its paws, nodding seriously. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched, and her expression was very unnatural. She realized that Lin Xian and the monkey were both freaks. The two of them and the monkey abandoned the demon tiger and quickly ran forward. In the distance, a faint pressure came, causing Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's souls to tremble. What a terrifying demonic aura. This aura far surpasses a rank 5 demonic beast. Zhao Shui's heart was still beating fast. At this point, she also had a trace of curiosity in her heart. Did you notice that the air is filled with the aura of lightning? Lin Xian had golden lightning in his body, and his senses were even sharper. Zhao Shui's soul moved, and after sensing for a while, her face was full of agreement. There is indeed the aura of lightning, and its grade is very high. Could it be a lightning beast in front? The two of them used their soul power to cover their bodies, and not a trace of aura leaked out. They were both rank 1 inscriptionists, and it was easy for them to do this. The snow-white monkey also quietened down and lay on Lin Xian's shoulder. "Let's go," Lin Xian whispered. Whoosh, whoosh. The two of them turned into afterimages and rushed forward like leopards. Crack. After advancing for a distance, Lin Xian found that the surrounding branches had a trace of lightning aura. "It must be a lightning beast, but I don't know what kind it is." The two of them confirmed again. Finally, the two of them were getting closer to the lightning beast. Moreover, they also found other people. Lin Xian's soul power spread out, and his eyes flashed as he looked into the distance. It's them. Suddenly, he exclaimed softly, as if he had found something interesting. The group of people in front was none other than the Tsang family of Qing State. There were about 50 of them scattered in front. Lin Xian thought for a while and understood. The Tsang family's martial arts were related to lightning, so it was not surprising that they would appear here. There is a group of people in the east, about 50 of them. Xiao Shui said, the west side is about the same, and those people are my old enemies. Lin Xian said slowly, what should we do? Xiao Shui asked, since we are here, of course we can't go back empty-handed. Lin Xian smiled, but there are so many of them, we are no match for them. Xiao Shui's face was full of worry, and I can feel the aura of a harmonious spirit expert. Chapter 202. Xiao Shui's worries were reasonable. A harmonious spirit expert was able to control the spirit energy of an area. It was not something a sea of soul realm warrior could handle. Of course, we won't be its match if we fight it head-on. However, it will be chaotic if we hunt it down. Lin Xian said with a smile, if we are careful, we will have a chance. Moreover, we don't have to fight. If there is any danger, we can just leave. That's the only way. Xiao Shui sighed. If it wasn't for Lin Xian, she wouldn't have dared to take such a risk. Lin Xian and Xiao Shui retreated carefully. There was no need for them to show their faces. Only when the two sides started fighting would they have the chance to take action. To the west of Lin Xian's group, a group of warriors gathered together. These warriors were from the Tsang family. Their auras were as strong as the ocean, unfathomable. One of them was the Tsang family's great elder. His aura was restrained, and his eyes were closed, as if he was asleep. Report. A Tsang family disciple came from afar. Swoosh. The Tsang family's great elder opened his eyes. His gaze was like a divine sword that could pierce through a person. Great elder, the thunder beast is still dormant in the cave and hasn't come out yet. The warrior said quickly, many people from the Yang family came as well. The leader seems to be the Yang family's patriarch. Yang family? The Tsang family's great elder's eyes flashed. Send someone to keep an eye on them. If there is any movement, report it immediately. Also, we must get the thunder source this time. Yes. Everyone's heart trembled. Their Tsang family had suffered too many setbacks recently. Not only were the younger generation injured, even the great elder was injured. The one who caused all of this was a guy called Lin Xian. Originally, they wanted to catch Lin Xian after the snow-seeking sect's great assembly, but who would have thought that he had already slipped away? Fortunately, the heavens were kind to the Tsang family. They found a thunder python that was shedding its skin. Originally, a 7th-rank monster's strength was equivalent to a spirit-detecting realm expert. However, the thunder python couldn't display its full strength during the shedding. It was only at the harmonious spirit realm. As long as they were well prepared, the opportunity would be theirs. They didn't need to kill the thunder python. They just needed to get the python skin. Although it was old, it contained endless power of thunder and lightning. It was absolutely a top-quality thunder source. While the Tsang family was preparing, the Yang family was also rubbing their fists in anticipation. Monitor the surroundings. Don't let the news leak out. The Yang family patriarch issued an order. The Tsang family suffered heavy losses this time. Not only did they lose an elder at the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, their head elder was even injured. At this time, they still want to compete with us? What a joke. The Yang family had sneered. As long as we can obtain the thunder source, our Yang family can surpass the Tsang family. Perhaps we can even become the overlord of the Qing province. A day later, the disciples of the Tsang and Yang families began to seal the mountain, not allowing anyone to enter this area. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not know that the mountain had been sealed off. They had discovered a strange type of grass in a valley. It was about the size of a palm and shaped like a bolt of lightning. It was completely silver gray in color and contained a dense amount of lightning energy. "This is thundergrass," Zhao Shui exclaimed. It only grew in places with abundant lightning. She did not expect to see it here. There were dozens of thundergrass growing in the entire valley. The violent power of thunder and lightning connected together to form a net of electricity. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were about to collect it, the martial artists of the Tsang family and Yang family also found this place. The martial artists of the two families were wary of each other and looked at the thundergrass in the valley at the same time. "Brat, it's you?" Immediately, a martial artist of the Tsang family recognized Lin Xian. The heavens have indeed treated our Tsang family well. A few martial artists of the Tsang family walked up with a sinister smile. "Brat, accept your death obediently. Can you deal with those few?" Lin Xian looked at Zhao Shui. "No problem." Zhao Shui nodded in agreement. Her strength had been increasing rapidly these days. "Attack together. Be careful of his sword intent." The martial artists of the Tsang family were not careless and chose to attack together. Rushing Thunder Fist, Wild Thunder Blade. In an instant, various attacks were launched at Lin Xian, forming a sea of lightning. Swoosh. Lin Xian used wind thunder steps and quickly dodged the attacks. Then, his eyes flashed with a purple light. In particular, an inscription appeared in his right eye. Buzz. The two martial artists of the Tsang family stiffened, as if they had lost their souls. Puff, puff. Sword light flashed, and two heads flew, spraying blood in the air. What? The three martial artists of the Tsang family were shocked. They did not know what had happened. However, in the next moment, an invisible soul wave attacked them. The three of them felt their bodies tremble, as if their souls were being sucked away. The light dimmed, and the three of them found themselves in a space the size of a house. Their hands and feet were tightly cuffed, and they could not move. Countless sharp sword rays surged out from all directions and pierced through them. Ah! The three of them screamed in pain and twitched continuously. However, they found that they were not dead. A white light flashed, and their bodies recovered. Then, countless blades looked at them. They did not know how many times they had experienced this, but in reality, it was just a blink of an eye. Puff, puff, puff. The long sword swept across, and the crescent-shaped sword light cut the three of them in half. Lin Xian kept his long sword and turned to look at the other side. There, Zhao Shui stood with a smile on her face. The six martial artists in front of her had flushed faces and were attacking each other crazily. Soon, all of them fell. What a powerful illusion, Lin Xian praised. Zhao Shui smiled sweetly. Her eyes seemed to be able to steal a man's soul. Compared to Lin Gongzi, I am far behind. Lin Xian was not affected at all. He smiled faintly and turned around. "These thundergrass are useful to me. I want 70%. Zhao Shui nodded in agreement. Firstly, she was not a lightning-type martial artist. Secondly, she still needed Lin Xian's protection. Getting 30% was already good enough. Lin Xian's hand flashed with golden electric arcs, forming a small shovel. With a wave of his arm, a stalk of thundergrass was dug out. In a moment, he had already dug out 14 stalks. The remaining 6 stalks were taken by Zhao Shui. "Did you get any useful information?" Lin Xian asked. He just got some information from the Tsang family's martial artists. There was information about the Tsang family and the Thunder Beast, but there was nothing about the Yang family. Zhao Shui nodded and said softly, "That Thunder Beast is a 7th-rank thunder python. Because it is shedding, it is in a weak state. Its strength is around the harmonious spirit realm. As for the Yang family, A total of 73 people came. 1 harmonious spirit realm, 5 7th level spirit C realm martial artists, 12 6th level spirit C realm martial artists. And the rest are below the 6th level. After saying this, she looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian smiled faintly. Regarding the Thunder Beast, I got the same information as you. The Song family's strength is about the same as the Yang family. 1 harmonious spirit realm, 6 7th level spirit C realm martial artists, and 10 6th level spirit C realm martial artists. However, according to what I know, the Song family's harmonious spirit realm martial artist was injured not long ago. He shouldn't be at his peak strength. We only need to wait until they are busy fighting and steal the Thunder Source. Chapter 203. Perhaps only Lin Xian had the guts to snatch food between 2 harmonious spirit experts and 7th grade demonic beasts. According to the information I received, the Thunder Python has yet to shed its skin. It will probably take a few days. It's best if we can increase our strength to the next level. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui decided to cultivate in the valley while waiting for the Tsang and Yang families to make their move. Holding the thundergrass in his hand, Lin Xian felt a surge of lightning energy. Just a few spiritual grasses already have such power. I wonder how powerful the Thunder Source will be. Lin Xian was excited. As long as he could obtain the Thunder Source, his strength would increase once again. This was the only way to reduce the gap between him and Lin Feng. Lightning surged around his body as he started to absorb the lightning energy from the thundergrass. The blue lightning collided with the golden lightning in Lin Xian's body, creating a thunderous sound. The surrounding lightning arcs were like spiritual snakes, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Fine cracks appeared on the stone he was sitting on. Lin Xian's mind moved, and the ice platform appeared beneath his feet. Sitting cross-legged on the platform, he closed his eyes and started to absorb the lightning energy. After the time it takes to burn an incense stick, the thundergrass in Lin Xian's hand started to wither as all the lightning energy was absorbed. He did not stop there. He immediately took out a second thundergrass and continued to refine it. 2 hours later, the 5 thundergrass were completely consumed. Lin Xian opened his eyes. Crackle! Following his awakening, a powerful aura gradually filled the air. Lightning snakes danced in the air and flew in all directions. With Lin Xian as the center, the area within a radius of 20 meters was like a sea of lightning. In the distance, Zhao Shui was shocked. In such a short time, Lin Xian's strength had increased again. This guy, his speed of improvement is too fast. Zhao Shui muttered softly. She even suspected that Lin Xian was not a teenager, but was possessed by an old man. Zhao Shui kept the stone eyeball and prepared to stand up. However, Lin Xian sat down again. Zhao Shui was speechless. Is he going to continue cultivating? What a freak! According to her estimation, Lin Xian must be a special existence in China. Even in the Shadow Country, there were not many people like Lin Xian. There was a reason why Lin Xian sat down again. It was because Lord Alcohol wanted to teach him a body-tempering martial art. Thunder tattoo body, Lin Xian murmured, a trace of movement in his eyes. This Thundermark body is an Earth-tier martial skill. After mastering it, one will be invulnerable to swords and spears, water and fire. It can be said to be a body-refining precious skill. Lord Alcohol slowly said, there are a total of 3 stages. They are the copper lightning pattern, silver lightning pattern, and gold lightning pattern. With your current strength, being able to cultivate the copper thunder rune is already not bad. Lin Xian suppressed the joy in his heart and began cultivating according to Lord Alcohol's instructions. According to Lord Alcohol, even the copper lightning pattern was equivalent to a high-grade spirit-ranked body-tempering martial art. Streaks of copper lightning appeared on the surface of his body. forming strange lightning patterns. The lightning patterns flickered and quickly disappeared. Lin Xian gave up on his entire body and gathered all the lightning on his right hand. The sea of lightning churned, constantly attacking the meridians in his arm. At the same time, countless lightning patterns formed on the surface of his body. Half a day later, the lightning disappeared. A layer of copper patterns appeared on Lin Xian's right hand, emitting a powerful force. After putting away the frost platform, Lin Xian jumped to the ground and punched the ground. Bam! With a loud bang, lightning spewed out. Lin Xian's entire arm faintly glowed. With a boom, his fist smashed into the ground, instantly creating a huge hole. Terrifying cracks spread out in all directions like a spiderweb. The valley shook incessantly, as though an earthquake had occurred. Zhao Shui was jolted awake, once again as she stared blankly ahead. With Lin Xian as the center, the ground within a 50-meter radius cracked into countless pieces and sunken. The power of a single strike was so terrifying. Lin Xian let out a satisfied smile. The copper lightning patterns on his arm disappeared, and he became no different from a normal person. Now, even a martial artist at the fourth sky of the spiritual sea realm would not be able to block one of his punches. Lin Xian felt the energy in his body and was in a good mood. With a tap of his feet, he came in front of Zhao Shui. "Let's go and check out the situation." Zhao Shui nodded blankly and followed behind Lin Xian. The two of them used their soul power to scan the surrounding terrain and plan out many escape routes. Also, they found that the Song and Yang families had set up arrays to control the thunder python. In the following days, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were either cultivating in the valley or checking out the situation. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. On Lin Xian's right arm, the lightning patterns were even more concentrated. Now, with one punch, he could shatter the ground within a 70-meter radius. A martial artist at the fourth sky of the spiritual sea realm was nothing in front of him. Even a martial artist at the fifth sky of the spiritual sea realm might not be able to block one of his punches. Rumble. The sky darkened and countless black clouds floated by and gathered in the sky. In an instant, day turned into night. The black clouds pressed down on the mountain, making people feel depressed. Within the clouds, lightning flashed from time to time. As if a thunder dragon was rolling in the clouds, a terrifying aura spread in all directions. Within a 100-mile radius, all the demonic beasts were lying on the ground, their bodies trembling. "Is it starting?" Lin Xian looked at the sky and took a deep breath. "Let's go." The two of them flashed and quickly left the valley. At the same time, the Song and Yang families started to move. Many martial artists stood in the array, waiting nervously. The Song family head elder and the Yang family head both looked serious as they stared at the lightning in the sky and the figure in the cave. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down like a heavenly blade, flattening the entire mountain. A terrifying sound spread in all directions and countless rocks scattered in the air. Everyone's pupils shrank. It was too terrifying. In front of the vast power of heaven and earth, everything seemed so small. A large part of the 1,000-meter-tall mountain was shaved off, revealing the situation in the cave. A 100-meter-long thunder python appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It was wrapped in blue electric arcs, and its body was constantly twisting, as if it was in great pain. Roar! A roar came from a sea of lightning. It sounded like a dragon's roar, but also like thunder. Everyone felt their eardrums tremble and their blood boil. The thunder beast's roar almost injured them. In the distance, 3 people in purple were running quickly behind Lin Xian. Suddenly, they stopped and raised their heads to look at the distant sky. There, dark clouds covered the sky, and lightning flashed. The three of them were from the Purple Extreme Demon Palace. They looked at each other. According to the data, the target is under the dark clouds. Let's go and take a look. The three of them turned into three purple lights and rushed toward the dark clouds. Under the dark clouds, the 100-meter-long thunder python roared again. Then, a thin crack appeared on its head. An even thicker demonic aura came out from it. Chapter 204. That aura was frightening. It had even surpassed the harmonious spirit realm. Fortunately, the thunder python was in a weakened state throughout the entire molting process and for a long period of time after. Otherwise, no one in the entire Xia kingdom would dare to have any ideas about it. The crack on the thunder python's head grew bigger, as if it was being torn apart by an invisible force. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. With his outstanding eye power, he could see that the thunder python's new skin was very strange. Lightning flashed on it, making it look like a lightning lake, as expected of a mutated beast. Every time it metamorphoses, it will become stronger. Lin Xian praised in his heart. Humph, do you think metamorphosis is so easy? Lord Alcohol snorted. If you can't withstand the lightning tribulation, you will die. Demonic beasts were much more dangerous than humans when it came to cultivation. Lin Xian was speechless as he raised his head to look at the lightning clouds in the sky. Rumble. As if responding to Lord Alcohol's words, a lightning bolt as thick as a bucket struck down, splitting the sky in half. The huge lightning bolt struck the thunder python's body, as if it was going to destroy the world. The entire mountain peak was blasted apart, turning into a flat land. The 100-meter-long thunder python roared towards the sky as a layer of protective lightning appeared on its body. The Tsang and Yang families' warriors retreated, afraid that they would be affected. The two harmonious spirit realm experts also had cold expressions on their faces. They were extremely nervous. Don't be distracted. Focus on comprehending the power of heaven and earth. Lord Alcohol shouted. Lin Xian's body trembled as he stared at the scene in front of him. Compared to the lightning tribulation, his lightning technique was like child's play. Pushing his soul force to the limit, Lin Xian used all his strength to capture the lightning tribulation and the thunder python's movements. Zhao Shue's heart trembled when she saw this scene, while others were worried about their lives. This fellow was actually comprehending martial arts. She wasn't Lin Xian, so she didn't dare to stay too close. She could only find a safe place to hide. The lightning bolts struck faster and faster. In the end, a few bolts would strike together, forming a curtain of lightning. The thunder python's entire head had successfully molted. Its house-sized head emitted a terrifying aura. Roar! It opened its mouth and spat out lightning, forming a net of lightning that covered the sky. The sky full of lightning struck the electric net, forming a terrifying shockwave. Lin Xian stared at the bolts of lightning one after another, feeling the violent aura within them and verifying it with his own martial arts. The speed at which the thunder python shed its skin was extremely slow. Everyone could only wait anxiously. When it had retreated halfway, 3 powerful auras suddenly came from behind the forest. Oh no! Zhao Shue's expression changed as she rushed to Lin Xian's side. There from the Purple Demon Palace, Zhao Shue had no choice but to interrupt Lin Xian. Spreading out his soul power, Lin Xian sensed it, and then his face sank. Now is not the time to expose ourselves. Come with me. Lin Xian's body swayed as he ran towards the thunder python. You're crazy. Zhao Shue's face turned pale with fright. Seeing that Lin Xian's figure was about to disappear, she could only grit her teeth and follow. When he was 2 kilometers away from the thunder python, Lin Xian stopped and looked for a cave. Here, the pressure from the lightning above them was even greater. Zhao Shue followed behind Lin Xian in fear, not even daring to breathe. Lord Alcohol, can you temporarily weaken the mark on my body? Lin Xian asked with a voice transmission. Perhaps you can try using the Mystic Ice Chi, Lord Alcohol said in a deep voice. Lin Xian turned his head and said to Zhao Shui, Stay away from me. What? Zhao Shui didn't understand what Lin Xian meant. However, she quickly retreated in horror. Lin Xian's body instantly turned green as a gust of cold air emanated from his body. Layers of blue ice formed on his body, and the cold air quickly spread, turning the entire cave into a world of ice and snow. It's so cold. Zhao Shui had no choice but to circulate all her spiritual energy. There was only one explanation for Lin Xian's change. He was suppressing the mark in his body so that the people from the Purple Demon Palace couldn't find it. In the forest outside, 3 martial artists in purple suddenly frowned. The target's aura suddenly weakened, and so did the mark in his body. One of the martial artists in purple said, Could he have removed the mark? Another martial artist was puzzled. Impossible. Other than us from the Purple Demon Palace, no one can remove the mark. Stop guessing. Let's go and take a look, the leading young man said in a deep voice. The 3 of them sped up and rushed over. Swoosh. Moments later, the 3 martial artists in purple arrived at a mountain peak. Seeing the lightning in the distance fall like a heavenly blade and the terrifying 100-meter-long lightning beast, the 3 martial artists in purple trembled. What a terrifying lightning tribulation. It's actually a thunder python. Its outer skin is a supreme-grade lightning source. The 3 of them were burning with passion and forgot to check Lin Xian's location. Actually, the 3 of them couldn't be blamed. Even a spirit harmonious expert would covet it, let alone them. Let's confirm the target's location first. The leading young man calmed down and said in a deep voice. The eyes of the 2 behind him flashed as they began to sense. After a few breaths, the 2 shook their heads slightly. Chapter 205. Purple light flashed, and a vortex appeared in the purple-clothed youth's eyes. Extremely demonic. The Tsang family's martial artist at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier stiffened, and confusion appeared in his eyes. His expression was one of struggle, as if he was drowning. Pooh! A purple light lit up, and the purple-clothed youth waved his long saber, splitting the Tsang family's martial artist in half. On the other side, the Yang family's martial artist's eyes also bulged, and he fell down unwillingly. Humph! A bunch of trash. A purple-clothed man sneered. Tsang family's great elder and Yang family's patriarch both saw this scene. Their expressions changed drastically, and they stared at the 3 purple-robed men, seemingly thinking about something. Could it be Shadow Country's Purple Extreme Demon Palace? Tsang family's great elder's voice was low. Call everyone back, and don't provoke those 3. For a moment, both families issued the same order. This action was tacitly acknowledging the existence of the 3 purple-robed men. It seemed that in their eyes, Purple Extreme Demon Palace was not to be provoked. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who were hiding in the cave, also sensed the scene. Lin Xian's entire body was covered in ice, and no changes could be seen. But Zhao Shui's expression was very ugly. A martial artist at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier was easily dealt with. So how powerful were those 3 people? In the sky, lightning kept falling, and it was getting more and more intense. Half of the thunder python skin had already fallen off, and new leather armor circulated with lightning shining brightly. He spat out a lightning curtain, blocking the lightning in the sky. Even so, it was still heavily injured. Roar! The lower half of its body was charred black, and there were bloody holes in some places. Lightning jumped on it, crazily tearing open the wounds. Rumble! The lightning in the sky kept striking, and the surroundings became a sea of lightning. The The thunder python's body rolled, and its long tail twitched, creating deep pits in the ground. On its head, a protrusion gradually grew, like a horn. It evolved. Everyone was shocked, staring blankly at this scene. That protrusion kept growing, and finally became a silver horn, about 1/2 meter long. Although it looked weak, the aura on it seemed to be able to crush everything. Like a thunder sword, it was going to pierce the heavens. Rumble! The dark clouds in the sky churned and spun continuously, forming a huge black vortex. From the center of the vortex, a silver arc of electricity appeared. As soon as the silver electric arc appeared, the sky seemed to be unable to bear it and was about to split open. Boom! Silver lightning descended, illuminating half of the sky. The surrounding mountain peaks were all shattered, and violent winds blew within 1,000 meters. The momentum was extremely terrifying. The thunder python was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. It let out a miserable cry as it was struck by the silver flash. The whole process lasted for the time it took for an incense stick to burn before it slowly disappeared. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They were worried. This level of lightning was very likely to cause everything below to cease to exist. He couldn't have been struck to death, right? Everyone from the Tsang family was puzzled. It's even better if he's dead. As long as the thunder source is still here, we won't have come here in vain. The Tsang family's great elder clenched his fists. The huge whirlpool in the sky slowly dissipated. The black clouds drifted away, and the sky returned to normal. Everyone impatiently looked forward and saw the 100-meter-long thunder python weakly raising its head in the midst of the ruins. Its silver horn was shining brightly. Everyone's heart tightened as they looked at the old skin that was peeling off. In the ruins, there was a large piece of shining scales that looked like blue crystals. Great, it's fine. Everyone was relieved when they saw that the thunder source was fine. However, in the next moment, the weak thunder python opened its mouth and bit the outer layer that was peeling off. Attack! The Tsang family and Yang family ordered at the same time. Everyone rushed forward. The 3 purple-clothed warriors also turned into 3 rays of purple light and rushed toward the thunder python. Zhao Shui was worried. She didn't move but looked at Lin Xian instead. Crack! Crack! The cold air on Lin Xian's body weakened a little. The ice and snow on his head had melted. Let them fight first. It's not that easy to get the thunder source. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Okay. Zhao Shui nodded and carefully probed. The 2 harmonious spirit experts from the Tsang family and the Yang family were at the forefront. Both of them flew in the sky, and their powerful auras swept across the area. Set up the formation. The Tsang family's great elder and the Yang family's patriarch shouted at the same time. Boom! Bang! On the ground, hundreds of warriors quickly set up the formation. A terrifying aura spread out. On the Tsang family's side, the 6-star thunder formation flashed. A 50-meter-long thunderbird flew out from the formation and screeched toward the sky. On the other side, the Yang family waved their flags. Countless heat waves surged, and the ground trembled. A stone man covered in fire stood up from the ground. Roar! The thunder python roared. Lightning overflowed from its body, shattering everything around it. The 3 giants looked at each other with hostility and attacked one after another. The thunder python's mountain-like tail whipped at the stone man covered in fire. Its big mouth bit at the thunderbird in the sky. The 3 collided with each other like a meteor crashing into the ground, creating an earth-shattering sound. The whole forest was trembling. Lightning and fire intertwined, forming 3 light pillars that shot up to the sky. The warriors who were controlling the formation trembled and vomited blood. At this moment, the 2 harmonious spirit experts made their move. A gigantic hand with lightning crackling on it grabbed at the thunder crystal beside the thunder python. On the other side, a long spear turned into a fire dragon and stabbed out. Roar! The thunder python felt the danger and stood up. It had just gone through a lightning tribulation and was very weak. However, these despicable humans were not only strong, they could also set up a formation. The silver horn on his head suddenly spun with silver light, forming circle after circle of lightning patterns. A silver-white energy ball appeared on the horn and gradually grew bigger until it was the size of a millstone. A trace of lightning tribulation aura spread out, causing everyone's heart to beat faster. Bang! The thunder python's huge head turned. A beam of light burst out from the energy ball like a lightning blade, sweeping across everything. Boom! Boom! The thunderbird in the sky had one of its wings cut off. The stone man covered in fire was cut in half at the waist. The two harmonious spirit realm warriors ran away as fast as they could. However, the warriors below were not so lucky. All of them were drowned in the lightning. Bastard, you're courting death? The Tsang family's great elder and the Yang family's patriarch were furious. The warriors below were the elites of their families. Some of them were very young, and some of them had great potential. They were all talents that could be the pillars of their families. But now, they died so tragically. The spiritual energy in their bodies surged as they attacked the thunder python fiercely. Old Yang, let's kill this bastard together. The Tsang family's great elder gritted his teeth. He had decided to join forces with the Yang family. All right, the Yang family's patriarch's body was surrounded by flames. His long spear slashed down like a long blade. A great battle broke out. The two men and the beast fought together, overturning the whole forest. The ice on Lin Xian's body disappeared. His aura surged, and his eyes shone brightly. It's time. The corner of his mouth slightly raised. Chapter 206. The Tsang family's great elder and Yang family's patriarch were truly enraged this time. They attacked the thunder python crazily. The fiery red spear and the huge lightning palm covered the sky, hitting the thunder python's body with a buzzing sound. The thunder python felt the pain and counterattacked. At the same time, it used its thick tail to attack. With this attack, a large amount of thunder crystals fell to the ground. The Tsang family's great elder and Yang family's patriarch attacked at the same time. Boom! The thunder python's skin was broken and scattered in all directions. Looking at the torn thunder crystal, Lin Xian's eyes were burning with passion. Hide yourselves well. Lin Xian instructed before dashing out at top speed. Behind him, Zhao Shui gritted her teeth and chose to stay in the cave. Although the thunder crystal was a good thing, it was too dangerous outside. Not only were there harmonious spirit realm experts, there were also people from the Purple Demon Palace. Moreover, Zhao Shui was not a lightning-type warrior. Although the thunder crystal was precious, it was not as precious as her life. Lin Xian was not surprised when he sensed that Zhao Shui did not follow him. He transmitted his voice. If there is danger, leave first. After saying that, he spread out his soul force and carefully checked the surroundings. He quickly rushed out. At the same time, there were 3 other purple-robed warriors. They did not stay together, but ran towards a different thunder crystal. Humph, I will take care of you first. Lin Xian used the wind thunder steps and followed the weakest warrior. Among the ruins, there was a thunder python's skin the size of a table. It was crystal clear like a sapphire. A purple-robed warrior carefully avoided the harmonious spirit realm experts in the sky and quietly approached. In the sky, the Tsang family's patriarch and Yang family's patriarch were entangled by the thunder python and could not be distracted. Go get the thunder crystal, they said to the surviving disciples. There were originally more than 100 people in the team, But now there were only 20 people left. They all ran towards the thunder crystal. Die. The purple-robed warrior sneered. Purple light flashed in his eyes and controlled the 3 approaching warriors. Then he slashed his palm and 3 heads flew out. Swoosh. As soon as he did this, he felt a cold killing intent behind him. Swoosh. Twisting his body, the purple-clothed martial artist forcibly moved 3 meters to the left. He suddenly turned his head with a disdainful smile on his face. Humph, you want to play with me. His expression changed because there was no one behind him. Puff. A sharp blade pierced through his heart. Golden lightning surged and destroyed all the vitality in his body. He tried his best to turn his head around to see who it was. Unfortunately, he only saw a slender hand take away his storage ring. Lin Xian nodded and quickly rushed forward. In an instant, he arrived near the crack. In the blink of an eye, he went straight for the thunder python skin. Humph! A cold snort sounded in the sky like a thunderclap. Don't think that I won't dare to kill someone from the Purple Demon Palace. The spear light flew out like a dragon emerging from the sea, piercing towards Lin Xian. When the Yang family head took the initiative, Lin Xian began to dodge. After all, he did not really want to take the thunder python skin. Boom, boom, boom. The spear light roared and pierced into the ground, forming a 10-meter-wide crater. As for Lin Xian, he was only 3 meters away from the crater. Cold sweat flowed down his face. If he had been a little slower, he would have died here. When Lin Xian made his move, the purple-robed youth also moved quickly. When the Yang family head attacked Lin Xian, the purple-robed youth rushed towards the thunder python skin. Whoosh! Finally, he succeeded this time. Go! He called out to Lin Xian and ran away. You are courting death. In the sky, the Yang family head and Song family head launched terrifying attacks. However, the 2 of them were restrained by the thunder python and guarded against each other. Their attacks were not strong, and their accuracy was not high. On the contrary, Lin Xian and the purple-robed youth were soul force experts and had been paying attention to the movements in the sky. Thus, they managed to avoid the attack by a hair's breadth. Seeing the 2 of them leave, the Song family head and Yang family head did not chase after them. After all, that was only a small piece. The real head was still beside the thunder python. The thunder python seemed to understand their thoughts. Its silver eyes moved, and it suddenly turned its head, biting down on the remaining thunder python skin. Crack! The 80-meter-long thunder python skin was reduced by half. Evil beast, you are courting death. The Song family head and Yang family head's eyes turned red as they attacked crazily. Chapter 207. The purple-robed youth snatched a thunder crystal and immediately fled. Lin Xian followed closely behind. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were far away from the battlefield. We didn't come in vain this time. Wait for us. Before he could finish, Lin Xian suddenly attacked. The great dragon sword intent surged, and a shocking killing intent surged. A sword ray flashed past like a shooting star, extremely dazzling. Ding! Puff! The purple-robed youth's expression changed, and he immediately dodged. The sword ray flashed and slashed across his chest, stabbing his arm. He was wearing an inner armor which barely blocked Lin Xian's sword. However, the sword pierced his arm. With a puff, his right arm broke, and blood gushed out uncontrollably. Lin Xian's palm sucked and removed the broken arm, quickly removing the storage ring on it. The purple-robed youth was heavily injured. He quickly sealed his broken arm and stared at Lin Xian. Purple light flashed in his eyes, as if he had suddenly discovered something. So, you're the target we've been looking for. His voice carried a trace of gloom. Good, very good. The purple-robed youth panted. It's been a long time since anyone dared to offend our purple demon palace. Purple demon purgatory, he suddenly shouted, and the purple light in his eyes intensified, enveloping Lin Xian. In the next moment, the surrounding scene changed drastically. Mountains of corpses and rivers of blood. There was killing everywhere, just like hell. 5 crimson chains flew towards Lin Xian, wanting to bind him. Humph! Enter my spiritual space. I'll torture you to death. The purple-robed youth's face was hideous, like a demon. Devouring bugs. Countless bugs swarmed towards Lin Xian's body, gnawing at his soul. Slowly enjoy the pain of your soul. I'll kill you bit by bit. The purple-robed youth's soul appeared in the spiritual space. Swish. Sword rays surged, and the bugs on Lin Xian's body were cut into pieces. Clang! The chains binding Lin Xian broke. What? The purple-robed youth was shocked, his face filled with disbelief. Impossible. This is impossible. This is my spiritual space. How can you escape? He didn't believe that he was the master of this spiritual space. Unless the other party's soul power far exceeded his, they would not be able to break through his spiritual space. However, he had sensed that Lin Xian's soul power was not as strong as his. Nothing is impossible. It's just that you're too inexperienced. Lin Xian sneered. A translucent sword chi surged out from his body and slashed at the purple-robed young man's soul. Soul sword. How do you know the sword of souls? The purple-robed youth was completely terrified. This kind of method was too terrifying. Even in the purple extreme devil palace, there weren't many people who knew how to use it. Puff, puff. The soul sword slashed down and soon destroyed the purple-robed young man's soul. Whoosh. With a thought, Lin Xian returned to his body. All of this happened in an instant. The purple-robed youth's body was still there, but his soul had already been destroyed. With a flick of his finger, a bolt of lightning shot out and circled around the purple-robed youth's body before exploding. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. He had obtained more than 10 meters of lightning python skin, but he still felt that it wasn't enough. Cultivating the lightning rune body required large amounts of lightning sources. This was a rare opportunity. You still want to go? Lord Alcohol asked with a voice transmission. Let's take a look. Lin Xian nodded. He transformed into a beam of light and returned the way he came. The Tsang family's grand elder and the Yang family's patriarch attacked crazily, causing the lightning python's injuries to worsen. It attacked with its horn once again, and a silver lightning beam struck the duo. The Tsang family's patriarch and the Yang family's patriarch vomited blood and were in a sorry state. Let's risk it again. The Tsang family's grand elder circulated his spiritual energy to the maximum and flew out like a bolt of lightning. On the other side, the Yang family's patriarch merged with his spear, leaving a 1,000-meter-long tail of light in the air. Boom. Bam. The duo arrived in front of the lightning python, grabbed the remaining lightning python skin, and tore it apart. Rip. The Tsang family's grand elder obtained about 20 meters of lightning python skin, while the Yang family's patriarch also obtained a piece. With the items in hand, the duo didn't stop and ran into the distance. Roar. The demonic thunder python was clearly enraged. That was its old skin, and even more so, its food. Now, it had been snatched away by the despicable humans and was even heavily injured. Lightning surged on its body as silver lightning arcs intertwined and gathered at the silver horn on its head. So, a lightning beam shot out from the horn straight into the sky. Clouds surged and churned constantly. The sky darkened instantly as 2 gigantic vortexes formed in the sky. Rumble. Silver light flashed as 2 thick bolts of lightning shot out from the vortexes, striking the Tsang family's grand elder and the Yang family's patriarch, respectively. Boom, boom, boom. Lightning flashed between heaven and earth as terrifying energy scattered in all directions. Two tragic cries sounded as the air trembled. When the lightning dissipated, the clothes of the two men in the sky were tattered, their hair was disheveled and blood was gushing out from their chests. The Song family's grand elder quickly flew into the distance. Lin Xian's eyes flashed as he quietly followed him. Through his purple spirit eyes, he could clearly see the situation in the sky. The Song family's grand elder's body was flying up and down, obviously unable to control his speed. Looks like this old man is heavily injured. Lin Xian was delighted. Xiao Xuanzi, a harmonious spirit expert, isn't someone you can deal with right now. Even if he is heavily injured, you can't kill him. Don't worry, Lord Zhou. I don't want to kill him yet. I just want to get the lightning crystal. Lin Xian transmitted his voice. His whereabouts? Lin Xian's eyes flashed, and he couldn't help but speed up. The Song family's grand elder was indeed heavily injured. He was already injured, and after being struck by lightning, his injuries became even more serious. The loss this time is too great. The Song family's grand elder's face was gloomy. All the elites he brought were dead, and he only managed to get 20 meters of lightning crystal. I hope these lightning python skins can help me reach the mid-harmonious spirit realm. A trace of expectation appeared in his heart. Asterisk chi. Suddenly, a sword chi rushed forward and slashed at his chest. Humph! The Song family's grand elder snorted coldly. With a light grab of his palm, he extinguished the sharp sword chi. Get out here quickly, he shouted loudly, his voice shaking the surroundings. Lin Xian sighed. A harmonious spirit expert was indeed powerful. Even if he was injured, he was still not someone a sea of soul realm warrior could handle. Asterisk swoosh, asterisk Lin Xian's body swayed and stood out. Purple Extreme Devil Palace. The Song family's grand elder's pupils shrank when he saw the purple-robed man in front of him. I'll give you a chance to get out of here quickly. Otherwise, don't blame this old man for starting a massacre. The Song family's grand elder's voice was cold. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he wouldn't provoke the Purple Extreme Devil Palace. Old thing! Lin Xian snorted coldly in his heart. With a flip of his palm, a yellow talisman treasure appeared in his hand. A yellow sword light slashed out like a rainbow. Wherever it passed, the void trembled, as if it was about to split open. This sword light changed the color of the surroundings. Talisman treasure. The Song family's grand elder frowned slightly. Chapter 208. The power of this attack was close to the peak of the Sea of Soul realm, far surpassing Lin Xian's strength. However, it still wasn't enough to deal with the Song family's great elder. Try to use your soul power to deal with him, Lord Alcohol transmitted. Lin Xian nodded. Purple light flashed in his eyes, and a strange inscription appeared in his right eye. His left eye turned into a sword-shaped inscription. Mental cage, soul sword. Lin Xian used all the soul techniques he knew. At the same time, he took out his bronze gauntlet and attacked again. This series of actions happened in an instant. It could be said that all these attacks landed on the Song family's great elder. Normally, the Song family's great elder wouldn't care about these attacks, but now that he was injured, his strength was affected. Moreover, there was a strange soul attack, so he had to be careful. He coldly snorted, and a dazzling light quickly appeared on his body, enveloping him. Unlike the spirit armor formed by a Sea of Soul realm warrior, the light screen formed by a harmonious spirit expert far surpassed the former in terms of defensive range and degree. Bang, bang, bang. The sword light and bronze light hit the dazzling light screen, causing ripples. However, the soul attack directly passed through. Humph! The great elder groaned, his mind somewhat absent-minded. However, as a harmonious spirit expert, his soul power wasn't ordinary. Lin Xian's attack only caused him to be absent-minded, but didn't cause any substantial damage. Powerful indeed. Lin Xian sighed inwardly. He had used almost all of his techniques, but he still couldn't injure the Great Elder. Whoosh! The Great Elder waved his hand, and a large lightning hand came crashing down. Swoosh! Lin Xian used his extreme speed and dodged. However, the purple robe on his body was shattered. Little bastard, it's you? The Tsang family's Grand Elder's face twisted when he saw Lin Xian. Old fogey, it's me, yours truly. Lin Xian laughed coldly. Little thief, you can't hurt me. The Tsang family's Great Elder gritted his teeth and said, Today, I'll use you as a sacrifice to my Tsang family's disciples. Lightning surged from his hand, forming a lightning chain that rattled in the air. Whoosh! 3 lightning chains formed a triangular shape and flew out quickly, binding Lin Xian up. Ha ha! The Tsang family's Great Elder laughed. Little thing, let me see what secrets you have. With a flick of his wrist, the lightning chain brought Lin Xian back. The Tsang family's Grand Elder was delighted. Lin Xian had many secrets on him, such as that golden lightning. Even his heart was moved. With the golden lightning, I will definitely be able to enter the mid-harmonious spirit realm. He grabbed Lin Xian with one hand. Humph! A mocking smile appeared on Lin Xian's face. Little thing, you dare to laugh at me? I'll let you have a taste of the harmonious spirit realm. Before he finished speaking, the Tsang family's Grand Elder's body suddenly trembled as he felt an inexplicable chill. Crack, crack, crack. A trace of blue qi was emitted from Lin Xian's body, emitting a strange cold energy. In a flash, the Tsang family's Grand Elder's arm was covered in a thick layer of ice, and this cold qi quickly spread to every part of his body. Whoosh! Lin Xian's sword intent surged, forming an invisible sword qi that cut off the lightning chain. His body quickly retreated. The Tsang family's Grand Elder ignored Lin Xian as he was in great trouble. This cold qi not only froze his body, but also froze the spirit energy and soul in his body. This little thief, how could he have such a thing? He was irritated, and he kept urging his spirit energy to resist. Seeing that the profound ice qi was not able to freeze the Tsang family's Grand Elder, Lin Xian frowned. He had underestimated the power of a harmonious spirit realm warrior. He waved his autumn scar sword, and the power of wind and thunder formed a sharp wind thunder spike, hitting the Tsang family's Grand Elder. Ding! Ding! The autumn scar sword emitted sparks, as if it had hit an iron wall. So hard! Lin Xian clenched his teeth. The Tsang family's Grand Elder was trying his best to resist the cold qi in his body and had no extra energy to care about Lin Xian. Lin Xian's previous attack could only leave a shallow mark on his body. Although it had no effect on his body, it still made him furious. An ant in the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm dared to be disrespectful to him. What are you looking at? Lin Xian could not do anything to him, and he was extremely frustrated. F***CK, still looking. Lin Xian raised his leg and kicked the Tsang family's Grand Elder's face. Instantly, a shoe print appeared on that old face. F***CK. So thick-skinned. Lin Xian had long hated the Tsang family to the bone, and now he could finally get his revenge. Clang, clang, clang. He kept raising his leg, leaving shoe prints on the Tsang family's Grand Elder's face. Although it could not cause any harm to him, this feeling was too good. This scene was coincidentally seen by Zhao Shui, who had just arrived. Her small mouth formed an O, and her pair of beautiful eyes were wide open. Heavens, what is Lin Xian doing? He actually dared to kick a harmonious spirit realm expert, and it's a crazy kick. You're here, Lin Xian. once again stepped on the Tsang family's grand elder's face, and he even used his strength to stomp on it a few times. The Tsang family's grand elder felt like his lungs were about to explode, and his old face turned purple. How many years had it been? Ever since he became a harmonious spirit realm expert, no one dared to be disrespectful to him. And now, a piece of trash that he regarded as an ant dared to treat him like this. Little bastard, when I catch you, I'll break all the bones in your body and torture you to death bit by bit. Clang! Lin Xian kicked out again. You dare to threaten this young master? Not good. Retreat quickly. Lord Alcohol suddenly transmitted his voice. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he immediately pulled Zhao Shui back. Boom! Within a 10-meter radius, countless lightning bolts surged and danced wildly, shattering everything. When the lightning bolts disappeared, a terrifying crater appeared on the ground. Everything in the surroundings was scorched, emitting a burnt smell. The Tsang family's grand elder's attack was immediately invaded by the profound ice chi, and half of his body was frozen. Old man, you still dare to fight back at this point? Lin Xian was extremely angry. He was almost injured just now. Thinking about how the Tsang family had tried to assassinate him several times, he felt a burst of anger. You brought this upon yourself. I have no enmity with you, but your Tsang family tried to kill me several times. Humph! In this world, only the strong are respected. You don't deserve those treasures. The Tsang family's grand elder's lips moved slightly. Only the strong are respected? Lin Xian laughed. Slap. He raised his hand and fiercely slapped the Tsang family's grand elder. Go to hell with the strong. Lin Xian growled. Among those of the same generation, no one in your Tsang family can defeat me. You're an old man who has lived for hundreds of years, but you still fell into my hands. In an instant, he slapped the Tsang family's grand elder's face more than 100 times. One day, I will personally go to your Tsang family and uproot you. Lin Xian didn't attack again. Instead, he looked at the storage ring. Unfortunately, the Tsang family's grand elder clenched his fists. He couldn't take it out. If I can't have it, I won't let you have it either. Lin Xian's heart was filled with ruthlessness. He placed the bronze gauntlet on the storage ring and quickly retreated. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the bronze gauntlet exploded. A green energy storm spread in all directions, and everything within a 100-meter radius was reduced to dust. Chapter 209. As the green light dissipated, a 100-meter deep pit appeared on the ground. In the center of the pit, the Tsang family's great elder sat with a gloomy expression. Half of his body was filled with blue mysterious ice chi, while the other half was filled with lightning spiritual energy. The two were resisting each other. On his right hand, the storage ring on his index finger cracked. This was a middle-grade storage ring with a space of 100 square meters. It was more expensive than a spirit rank martial art, but now it was broken. The Tsang family's great elder's eyes burned with anger. He wanted to tear Lin Xian into countless pieces. 2 hours later, the mysterious ice chi on his body disappeared. Ah, little bastard, get out here. His voice was like a sea of thunder. It rolled out and could be heard clearly within 100 miles. But he could not sense Lin Xian's existence. Whoosh! The Tsang family's great elder turned into a stream of light and flew through the mountains. Any mountain that he found suspicious was smashed to pieces with a palm. In an instant, more than 10 mountains were flattened. However, Lin Xian did not appear. The Tsang family's great elder vented his anger in the sky. The terrifying energy did not dissipate for a long time. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had already escaped from the forest. The two of them rushed towards the fire province. A day later, the two of them arrived at the border of the fire province. Entering the fire province, The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. They could feel the Tsang family's great elder's angry roar and terrifying venting. If they were caught, one could imagine what would happen. In the fire province, the air was hot and dry. It was as if there was a huge furnace barbecuing. In fact, it was almost the same. There were many volcanoes in the fire province, and there were fire veins underground. This made the climate very hot. Lin Xian was wearing a blue robe. He had the mysterious ice chi in his body, so it was not very hot. Zhao Shui changed into a cool short-sleeved shirt. Her jade-like arms were exposed, causing people to daydream. Lin Xian came to an uninhabited volcano and prepared to go into seclusion. He wanted to refine the thunder crystal and use it to cultivate the copper thunder mark. After digging a human-shaped cave, Lin Xian went in. He released the little white monkey and let it and Zhao Shui stand guard outside. After setting up a defense in the cave, Lin Xian flipped his palm, and a table-sized thunder python skin appeared in his hand. It was about a foot thick, like pieces of sapphires pieced together. When Lin Xian touched it with his finger, he could feel the thick power of thunder and lightning. Grabbing the thunder python skin with both hands, Lin Xian began to cultivate the copper thunder pattern. This time, he wanted to cultivate his left hand. Strands of pure lightning energy surged out from the thunder python's skin. Its aura was extremely terrifying. This energy was much stronger than the thundergrass. Ka, ka, ka. Terrifying cracks appeared on the surrounding mountain walls from the overflowing lightning, as if they had been hacked by swords and sabers. The blue lightning covered Lin Xian's left hand, and a violent energy instantly rushed into his body. It was like a mad dragon that was rampaging through his body. Suppress! Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. Golden electric arcs came out of his body and formed a lightning chain, trapping the violent lightning energy. At the same time, he used the secret technique of the thunder pattern, using the power of thunder and lightning to continuously temper his body. As time passed, the power of thunder and lightning weakened. The thunder python's skin gradually dimmed, and cracks appeared in some places. However, Lin Xian's left arm was getting stronger and stronger. It was as if a shocking power was awakening. Feeling the power in his left arm, Lin Xian nodded slightly. He split out some lightning and tempered his right arm again. Ka! A 1-meter-long crack appeared on the table-sized thunder python skin, causing it to break into 2 halves. Lin Xian knew that this was because the power of thunder and lightning had been exhausted. He exerted a little force with both hands, and the thunder python skin in his hand turned into powder. With a thought, the power of thunder and lightning flowed quickly on his arm. It faintly emitted a blue light, as if thousands of thunder were roaring. Continue to cultivate. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He took out the thunder python skin that was more than 10 meters long. Next is my legs. Lin Xian followed the instructions. After 2 hours, his legs also emitted the light of thunder and lightning. At this moment, more than half of the thunder python skin was left. He continued to absorb the power of thunder and lightning. When the last piece of skin on his body was covered by the thunder pattern, a rumbling sound came from his body. An unusually comfortable feeling flowed through Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian's face was full of enjoyment, and he almost groaned out loud. At this moment, the thunder python skin in his hand had completely shattered. Lin Xian's body flashed, and he appeared outside the cave. Woochie woochie! When the little white monkey saw Lin Xian, it jumped onto his shoulder. Lin Xian was slightly surprised. This little monkey actually ignored his power of thunder and lightning. However, Zhao Shui was not so lucky. She was oppressed by Lin Xian's aura, and her face turned pale. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and roared and punched out. The mountain rock shattered, and the 100-meter-tall mountain was destroyed. Zhao Shui covered her mouth in shock. This kind of strength was probably very close to the 7th level of the spiritual sea realm, and Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. Not bad. I didn't risk my life to get it in vain. Lin Xian laughed. Let's go. I need a fire tribute spirit fruit. I wonder if the fire province has it. The two of them ran quickly and arrived at a nearby city. Flame City. The entire city wall was built with fiery red stones, and it emitted a shocking heat. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui found an inn and stayed there. They had been running around for the past few days, and their bodies and minds were tired. Lin Xian relaxed his mind and had a good sleep. The next day, he woke up naturally. He felt full of energy, and his body had recovered to its peak state. Opening the door, Lin Xian went downstairs and prepared to eat breakfast. He looked around and found Zhao Shui, but he frowned slightly. Zhao Shui sat quietly in the hall on the first floor. There were a few young men around her, and their eyes were shining. Their expressions were rippling, and he didn't know what they were talking about. Lin Xian sighed and walked over. He had already sensed that Zhao Shui was different. Her ocular skill was more of a charm, and she had a strange attraction. Lin Xian's soul was strong, and he wasn't affected. However, the same couldn't be said for others, especially those martial artists with weak willpower. They couldn't resist at all. Rubbing the little white monkey's head, Lin Xian walked slowly to Zhao Shui's side, and then slowly sat down. "You're awake." Zhao Shui smiled. This smile made the charm on her body even more intense, and the few young men nearby started to drool. "So beautiful, so beautiful," the few young men murmured. "Kid, who let you sit here? Get lost." One of the young men shouted coldly, "That's right. This has nothing to do with you. Get lost." The rest of the young men echoed, "Woochie woochie." The little white monkey made faces at them and stuck out its tongue. "Damn it, where did this stinky monkey come from? How dare you disrespect us?" The few young men were angry, and one of them even grabbed the little white monkey. Chapter 210. The young man's face was pale, and his eyes were unfocused. It was obvious that he was addicted to wine and women. Even so, he was still in the 4th sky of the spiritual sea realm. This meant that he was not an ordinary person. His 5 fingers formed into claws and flames danced on them. He grabbed at the little white monkey. "Woochie woochie!" The little white monkey looked at him with disdain. With a swoosh, it disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already on the young man's face. It waved its claws and scratched wildly. Chi-chi. In an instant, countless bloody scars appeared on the young man's face. It was a horrible sight. "Ah!" He retracted his hand and screamed. The little white monkey jumped back onto Lin Xian's shoulder. "Woochie woochie!" The little monkey pointed at them, as if warning them not to provoke it. So fast. The surrounding martial artists were alarmed. They looked at Lin Xian and the others in shock. How dare he provoke the Xing family? This young man is in for it. Someone shook his head and sighed. "Ah, my face, my face." That young man covered his face and screamed, "Give me a mirror." The servant beside him took out a silver mirror and said in a trembling voice that, "Young master, cut the F asterisk king crap. Hurry up and give it to me." The young man screamed and snatched the mirror. In the mirror, his face was like a field that had been plowed. It was a horrible sight. "Ah, how dare you ruin my face? I'll kill you." The young man screamed crazily, but he did not dare to attack. Behind him, his follower was also glaring angrily at him. The others looked at Lin Xian coldly. "Young man, how dare you hurt the Xing family's young master Xing Tong? You must be tired of living." Zhao Shui said calmly, "Young masters, I'm really sorry." Her voice was like a spring breeze, causing ripples in the hearts of the people. He, don't worry, beautiful lady. This has nothing to do with you. We can all testify. The other young men patted their chests and said. The young man looked at Zhao Shui and said, as long as you're willing to spend a night with me, I'll let this young man go. Otherwise, just wait for your deaths. Lin Xian smiled and said nothing. Although Zhao Shui looked weak, she was a decisive person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to survive the Purple Demon Palace's pursuit for so long. Sure enough, after hearing this, Zhao Shui's smile widened. Her eyes were like water as she took a deep look at the young man who was caught. Xing Tong's scratched face suddenly glowed red like a ripe apple. Hot, so hot. He tore off his clothes and pounced on the body of the young man beside him. His hands roamed around, and his mouth was full of kisses. F***CK. You pervert. That disciple sent Xing Tong flying with a slap and tidied up his clothes. The other youths also felt a chill run down their spines. They didn't expect Xing Tong to actually like this. Damn it. I was wondering why the way he looked at me the other day was weird. As if possessed, Xing Tong pounced on the servant behind him and kissed him repeatedly. The surrounding warriors were all stunned, looking at the erotic scene on the ground. Their expressions were very interesting. When the owner of the inn saw that the situation was not right, he hurriedly ran to recruit people. Not long after, a group of people rushed over angrily. The surrounding crowd dispersed and looked at the group of people with fear. The person in the lead was a burly man. He was almost 2 meters tall and seemed to be burning with fire as he walked. When he saw the situation on the ground, his eyes widened, and he slapped Xing Tong unconscious. What happened? The burly man asked in a deep voice. He knew that although Xing Tong was addicted to wine and women, he was still able to differentiate between men and women. Someone must have done something secretly. The surrounding warriors lowered their heads and didn't dare to say anything. The few youths who were with Xing Tong told the burly man what had happened. A woman who knows charm and a young man with a monkey? The burly man frowned. He had never heard of these two people in the underworld. Where are they? The burly man asked in a deep voice. They are. The few of them turned around and found that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were long gone. A bunch of trash. The burly man's eyes were cold. Search the entire city and capture them. How dare they touch the people of the Xing mansion? It seems like they don't know how to write the word death. Yes, the warrior behind the burly man said respectfully. On the wide street, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui walked quickly. Fire State, Shadow Country, and Rain Country are neighbors. The powers here are very complicated. We can go to the Inscription Union and get an Inscription Master rank. As long as we pass, normal powers won't dare to provoke us. Zhao Shui said slowly. Inscription Union? Lin Xian touched his chin. He had heard of this organization before. Everyone in the Union was an Inscription Master. Moreover, this organization didn't belong to Xia Country. They were in other nearby countries. It could be said that they had a strong background, and no one dared to provoke them. All right, Lin Xian nodded, but I want to wait for a few days. I feel that my soul power is about to break through. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched. Another breakthrough? Are you kidding me? Are you trying to hurt me? Lin Xian was about to break through. He had been using the mysterious ice qi to refine his soul. His improvement was very fast. He only needed an opportunity to break through to become a second seal inscription master. In the middle of Blazing City, there was a 1,000-meter-tall volcano. This volcano had been modified by an inscription master. Not only would it not erupt, but it had also become a sacred place for cultivation. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui came here and decided to cultivate for a few days. At the foot of the volcano, there were many cultivation rooms. Lin Xian took a look. There were a total of 5 floors. The lower they went, the more expensive it was. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui chose 2 cultivation rooms on the 3rd floor. They paid the spiritual stones and received the keys. The cultivation rooms on the 3rd floor cost 1,000 low-grade spiritual stones a day. It could be said that the price was very expensive. However, Lin Xian had nearly 2 million low-grade spiritual stones on him. This amount of money was nothing to him. After paying the fees for 5 days, the 2 of them walked towards the cultivation rooms. The lower they went, the higher the temperature. The temperature on the 3rd floor reached a few hundred degrees. It was like a huge furnace. Lin Xian had the copper thunder mark and could still withstand it. Zhao Shui had already put up her spiritual armor. It's just right for me to cultivate. Lin Xian opened the door and walked in. The facilities inside were very simple. Lin Xian didn't care about it. After all, the warriors who came here were here to cultivate, not to enjoy. There was a brown stone in the middle. There were 8 bowl-sized holes around it. Lava was boiling inside. This cultivation room made use of the underground fire vein. Lord Alcohol transmitted his voice. Fire vein. Lin Xian was puzzled. Yes, the reason why there are so many volcanoes in the fire state is because there is a fire vein underground, Lord Alcohol said slowly. This is a mutated spirit vein. It contains more than 5 times the spiritual energy of ordinary places, especially the fire attribute spiritual energy. It's almost materialized. Indeed, Lin Xian could see wisps of fiery red mist floating in the room with his naked eye. They were like tiny red lines. Whoosh! He came to the brown stone platform and sat cross-legged. This time, I must break through to become a 2nd seal inscription master. Chapter 2:11. Just as Lin Xian entered the training room, the people of the Xing mansion also found out about Lin Xian's whereabouts. The 2 of you stay here and watch. If there's any movement, report it immediately. Yes, the 2 warriors replied respectfully. In the training room, the air let out a low roar. The originally hot room actually became somewhat cool. Lin Xian sat cross-legged on the brown stone platform, surrounded by a layer of blue ice crystals. The 8 holes that were spewing lava were also covered by a layer of ice. This process lasted for 3 days. On the 4th day, Lin Xian opened his eyes. As if countless stars had been extinguished, the purple light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared and became deeper. His eyes flashed, and inscriptions formed in the air, flickering. What was different from before was that this time 2 inscriptions were formed at once, and the lines on them were incomparably complex. As expected of a 2nd seal inscriber, my soul power is more than twice as strong. Lin Xian showed a trace of joy. He had been using the mysterious ice qi to temper his soul for the past few days, and finally reached the level of a 2nd seal inscriber. I can go to the inscription union to take the test. Lin Xian walked out of the door. After sending a message to Zhao Shui, Lin Xian waited at the side. Not long after, the stone door at the side slowly opened. Zhao Shui walked out with a smile. Not only had her soul power strengthened, but she had also broken through to the 6th level of the spiritual sea realm. However, when she saw Lin Xian, she was obviously stunned. You really broke through to become a 2nd seal inscriber? Zhao Shui's voice was trembling. I was lucky. I broke through, Lin Xian said with a smile. Zhao Shui rolled her eyes. This was not a matter of luck. Many inscribers cultivated their entire lives and did not necessarily become 2nd-grade inscribers. Lin Xian's talent was too abnormal. Let's go. The test is too easy for you. Zhao Shui took a deep breath and said sourly. The 2 of them walked out of the 3rd basement floor together and headed outside. Seeing that Lin Xian had come out, the members of the Xing family were elated and wanted to send a message. Lin Xian had long since noticed their movements. With a flash of his body, he appeared in front of them. Please note that fighting is not allowed in the volcano cultivation ground. Lin Xian's actions attracted the attention of the martial artists in the cultivation area, and an old man warned him he's actually a martial artist in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Lin Xian was surprised. Lin Xian glanced at the Xing Mansion's cultivators before turning around to leave. Zhao Shui hurriedly followed him, and the two of them disappeared in a flash. Isn't that the person the Xing Mansion is looking for? A well-informed cultivator whispered. The old man in the cultivation ground stroked his beard and said coldly, "No matter who it is, you can't make a move here." He looked at the two cultivators from Xing Mansion and suddenly frowned. Something's wrong. The old man's expression changed. He took a step forward and quickly arrived in front of the two. The eyes of the two cultivators from the Xing Mansion were glazed over, their faces contorted in pain. This is mental illusion technique. The old man's knowledge was not ordinary. He could tell at a glance that the two cultivators were under an illusion technique and had lost their minds. "Wake up!" the old man shouted in a low voice. A wave of pressure enveloped the two cultivators. The two cultivators trembled, and then looked at the old man in front of them with a blank expression. "What's going on? Why are we here?" "Oh no, that kid ran away. Hurry and report this." The two cultivators hurriedly ran away. Sigh. The old man shook his head and then walked in. The Inscription Union was an organization of inscriptionists. It was very famous in the entire Tiannan region and could be said to be a very large organization. The 9-story tower towered into the clouds and was completely red. It was built with the best firestones. The gate was very wide, 10 meters high and 20 meters long. There were lifelike drawings of real dragons and phoenixes. There were not many people coming and going, but those who came and went were either disciples of aristocratic families or martial artists of large sections. The Inscription Union was actually a place of business. Elixirs, weapons arrays, everything was available inside. As long as you could afford it, there was nothing you could not buy. Moreover, there were inscriptionists inside. Some martial artists could request for items that were suitable for them. The effects were far better than those bought from other places. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui walked slowly along the stairs. At the entrance, they were blocked. "May I know why the two of you are here?" the guard at the door asked. He saw that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were dressed in ordinary clothes and did not look like rich people, so he stopped them to ask. During this time, a few disciples of aristocratic families passed by and looked at Lin Xian with disdain. "Humph, country bumpkin, you've come to the wrong place." Someone sneered. Lin Xian smiled indifferently. "I heard that there is an inscriptionist assessment here. The two of us want to give it a try." Inscriptionist assessment. The guard at the door changed his expression. Even the disciples of aristocratic families next to him were surprised. They looked at Lin Xian with a different gaze, as if they were much more respectful. "I see. Sorry, please follow me." The guard cupped his fist and said, "Thank you." Lin Xian's attitude was gentle and his expression was calm. After the two of them followed the guard in, some of the martial artists nearby praised. "That kid is so young. He shouldn't be an adult yet, right? TSK, TSK. The girl beside him is not bad. My heart is itching to see her. You're courting death. If he becomes an inscriptionist, I'll see if you still dare to talk nonsense." "Hee, I'm just joking. But it's rare to see someone this young taking the inscriptionist assessment." The hall was even more spacious. The space on the first floor was more than 30 meters high. There were many stars painted on the roof, as if it was the sky. "Elder Su, these two are here to take the inscriptionist assessment." The guard said respectfully, "Oh, The old man who was dozing off opened his eyes. There was a flash of light in his eyes. He looked at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui and felt their soul power. He nodded and said, "There is an assessment today. Go and fill in your information." As soon as Elder Su finished speaking, someone brought in a pen and paper. Lin Xian looked at it and saw that it was some basic information. Most of it was name, age, and so on. The two of them quickly filled in the information and handed it to Elder Su. "Oh, 17 years old?" Elder Su looked at Lin Xian's information and suddenly raised his eyebrows. 17 years old, taking the inscriptionist assessment, was indeed quite young. But when he saw the information below, he sat up straight. "You want to take the second-level inscriptionist assessment?" Elder Su's voice was full of doubt. "Yes." Lin Xian nodded. He couldn't understand why the old man would have such a big reaction. "Little guy, are you playing with me?" Elder Su asked with uncertainty. "Elder, who do you think would dare to play with people here?" Lin Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "That's right." Elder Su nodded. "But you have never taken the inscriptionist assessment before. You have to start from the beginning." "No problem." Lin Xian gladly agreed. If he couldn't even pass the first-level inscriptionist assessment, then how could he be a second-level inscriptionist? "The two of you follow me." Elder Su stood up and led the two of them inside. Chapter 2:12. After bypassing the second floor, Elder Su brought Lin Xian and Zhao Shui to the third floor. After walking for more than 10 meters along the long passageway, a dark red door appeared. There were 2 bronze lion handles on top of it, making it look extraordinarily mighty. Elder Su placed his hand on one of the lion heads and exerted a little force. A circle of inscription that looked like water ripples quickly spread out, forming a triangular pattern. Buzz! The dark red door trembled slightly before opening slightly. Elder Su smiled and pushed the door open. Lin Xian praised in his heart. He didn't expect the mechanism to be so ingenious. If he rushed in without knowing the situation, he would probably be seriously injured. On top of the dark red door, there was a powerful inscription formation. The aura it emitted wasn't any weaker than a harmonious spirit realm expert. Lin Xian had also noticed the soul force that Elder Su released just now. A second seal inscription master, and a peak one at that. He was very strong. At least Lin Xian wasn't his match at all. Inside the dark red door was a classical hall. It lacked some extravagance, but it had a sense of history. There were many people standing in the hall. Most of them were young people. In front of the young people stood 3 people in silver robes. On their chests, there were a few golden ripples that looked like crescent moons. Among them, there was an elegant middle-aged man and a young woman on both sides. Both of them had 2 golden runes on their bodies. Standing in the middle was an old man with 3 golden runes on his chest. What a powerful soul force! Lin Xian's pupil shrank when he saw the old man in the middle. His soul force had already surpassed Elder Su's, reaching an unbelievable level. It's a 3rd-grade inscription master. Lord Alcohol transmitted. 3rd grade. Lin Xian was surprised. As expected of the Inscription Alliance, he had seen so many inscription masters in such a short time. There was even a 3rd-grade inscription master. That was an existence equivalent to harmonious spirit realm expert. The people in the hall looked at Lin Xian and the others, their eyes filled with curiosity. "Elder Su, why are you here? Who are the 2 behind you?" The middle-aged woman asked curiously. "Ha! These 2 are also here to participate in the Inscription Master Assessment. I saw that it was not yet time for the assessment, so I brought them here. After all, there are still a few days until the Battle of the Inscription Tower. We can't miss out on some young geniuses." Young genius? Hearing Elder Su's words, everyone looked at Lin Xian with a trace of unwillingness in their eyes. Even the three silver-robed men looked over. Among them, the scholarly middle-aged man was slightly taken aback when he saw Lin Xian. Then he smiled. Lin Xian, I didn't expect it to be you. Hello, Senior Wang. Lin Xian smiled. This middle-aged man was the elder of the 10,000 Treasure Tower. Moreover, he was the one who escorted Lin Xian and the others to the snow-seeking sect. No one expected him to be here. Lin Xian, you're Lin Xian? The middle-aged woman was astonished. Even the powerful old man was staring at him. The young disciples behind them were discussing. Many of them looked at Lin Xian with unkind expressions. He is the Lin Xian of the 10,000 Treasure Tower. I heard that he occupied a spot to participate in the inscription tower without taking the assessment. What? There is such a thing. I want to see what this kid is capable of. What can he do at such a young age? Lin Xian listened to these discussions and smiled bitterly. It turned out that his reputation had already spread among these people. The middle-aged man said to Lin Xian, "This is Deacon Meng of the Inscription Alliance, and this is Elder Song of the Inscription Alliance. He is also the manager of this sub-alliance." "Greetings, seniors," Lin Xian said respectfully. The two nodded with a smile. Elder Song said slowly, "Since everyone is here, let's begin." "Yes." Deacon Wang received the order and said loudly, "There are a total of 16 people in this inscription master assessment. Those who draw the inscription according to the requirements will become a first-grade inscription master. Now everyone find a place to stand. The assessment is about to begin." In front of them, 16 green jade platforms appeared. They were more than 1 meter high, and some materials were placed on them. Lin Xian and the others found a place to stand. He roughly looked at them and felt that there should be no difficulty. The others were seriously preparing. Lin Xian raised his head slightly and found that there were 4 young people who did not come to participate in the assessment. Instead, they stood to the side and looked coldly. Among them, there was a woman in a silver robe. Her expression was cold, and her appearance was unparalleled. Her graceful figure was hidden in the silver robe. On her chest, there was a golden line drawn. First-grade inscription master. Lin Xian was surprised. He found that the others were also first-grade inscriptionists. It seems that these people should be participating in the second-grade inscription master assessment. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, the beautiful woman did not have any change in expression. However, the few young people beside her showed a disdainful expression. The inscription master assessment begins now. You only need to draw the inscriptions according to the requirements, Deacon Wang said in a clear voice. On the green jade platform, there was a layer of light. Lin Xian saw a line of words appear on it. It turns out that I have to draw 9 basic inscriptions and 9 derivative inscriptions. However, I only have 20 breaths of time. Lin Xian quickly read the requirements. With a thought, he began to draw the inscriptions. For him, this was a very simple matter. These inscriptions were the most commonly used inscriptions. Lin Xian practiced every day, and the time limit was even less of a problem for him. He was now a second seal inscription master. His speed was many times faster than before. However, he did not show too much shock. Outside, Deacon Wang and the others saw that Lin Xian used 15 breaths of time to draw 18 inscriptions. They could not help but secretly nod. However, the few young people showed a disdainful look. Humph! That year, I only used 12 breaths of time. These people are really trash. Of course, they can't be compared to Brother Zhou. Another person laughed. However, that lady's strength is not bad. The young man surnamed Zhou looked at the figure, and his eyes lit up. They were naturally looking at Zhao Shui. In terms of appearance, Zhao Shui did not belong to the silver-robed lady. Moreover, she had an indescribable aura. Moreover, Zhao Shui's strength had reached the peak of a first seal inscription master. Her strength was comparable to that of the others. The silver-robed lady looked at Zhao Shui. Her eyes gradually brightened, and then she carefully sized her up on the green jade platform. After Lin Xian drew 18 inscriptions, the words on the platform changed again. This time, there were 3 choices. Lin Xian quickly chose to be an inscription master. The time to refine a first-grade elixir is the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Lin Xian looked at the materials on the green jade platform and immediately had an idea. Only 1/3 of the materials on the platform were for inscription masters. From this 1/3, he had to choose the elixirs he needed. If the previous assessment was about basic skills, then this was about actual combat. Only by refining a first-grade elixir within the time limit could one become a first-grade inscription master. Outside, Elder Song and the 2 deacons looked at the platform. "I wonder how many people will succeed this time," Deacon Meng said slowly. Chapter 213. "It should be about half," Attendant Wang said in a low voice as he looked at Lin Xian. When he saw Lin Xian's skillful technique, a smile appeared on Attendant Wang's face. Lin Xian was relatively relaxed. Refining a first-grade elixir was a piece of cake for him. He could even use his soul power to observe the others. Among these people, about half of them were first-grade inscriptionists. However, they were far from Zhao Shui, let alone Lin Xian. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the green jade platform glowed, and everyone stopped. Among them, 5 of them did not complete their elixirs and were eliminated. Among the remaining 11 people, 4 of their medicinal pills did not meet the mark. In the end, only 7 of them passed the assessment. This number was similar to what the attendants had guessed. No one was too surprised. The disciples who passed the assessment were excited while those who failed stood aside dejectedly. Elder Song said slowly, "Inscriptions are vast and profound. Regardless of whether you pass the assessment or not, you cannot slack off. Remember this. Next is the second-grade inscriptionist assessment. Shanshan, prepare yourselves." "Yes," the young men in silver robes replied. The 4 of them walked towards the green jade platform. Lin Xian also walked out. "Kid, what are you doing?" "Go back," one of the young men shouted coldly. Everyone looked at Lin Xian, not knowing what he was going to do. The lady in silver robes looked at him and frowned. She said softly, "Please don't disturb our assessment." Lin Xian touched his chin and said, "Sorry, I'm also part of the assessment." "You?" The young men were stunned and then sneered. "This is the second-grade inscriptionist assessment. Are you sure you can do it?" The disciples who passed the assessment also sneered. "He wants to take the second-grade inscriptionist assessment? Even I can't do it, let alone him." Zhao Shui smiled, but did not say anything. She knew that Lin Xian had the ability. Elder Song and the others looked at Elder Su with a questioning gaze. "Ha, that's right. This little guy signed up for the second-grade inscription master examination," Mr. Su said with a smile, "because he has never taken the exam before. So we let him start from the first-grade inscriptionist exam." "What?" Those young disciples looked as if they had eaten duck eggs and were choked speechless. The silver-robed woman glanced at Lin Xian in surprise. A trace of curiosity appeared in her eyes. The 3 young men behind her had gloomy expressions as they stared unkindly at Lin Xian. Not everyone can become a second-grade inscription master. First, you have to reach the second seal soul force state. The youth named Zhou Yong said in an ambiguous tone, "Prove it. How old is this guy? He definitely can't do it." "That's right. You're still trying to bluff your way out of this. What a joke." Lin Xian's expression remained the same. Since they wanted to prove it, then he would prove it to them. 2 inscriptions appeared in the air, at the same time. Ripples appeared in the air as strands of strange energy fluctuated. Those complicated lines dazzled many people. After a moment, the inscriptions in the air dissipated. Everyone woke up from their daze and looked at Lin Xian's figure, as if they had seen a ghost. How is this possible? He's only 17 years old. The group of disciples felt that it was difficult to breathe. They couldn't believe this fact. The silver-robed woman's eyes became fierce and contained a fighting spirit. Her name was Huang Shanshan, and she was Elder Song's disciple. Since she was young, she had been recognized as an abnormal talent. The surrounding disciples simply couldn't compare with her. Even some disciples who were older than her couldn't compare with her. But now, a youth suddenly appeared. He was younger than her, but his strength wasn't weak. This caused her to feel a sense of resistance. Elder Song nodded with a smile and said in a deep voice, "Let's begin." Lin Xian and the others walked to the green jade stage and calmed down to prepare. Humph, so what if you have a second seal soul force? Zhou Yong's face was cold. To become a second-grade inscription master, it's not just about having a strong soul force. You too, show me your true abilities. Zhou Yong shouted in a low voice. He didn't want to be defeated by a youth. Looking at the 5 people preparing, Deacon Meng chuckled and said, "Shanshan, this little girl has been waiting for this for a long time. Yes, she has been preparing for more than 2 months. There shouldn't be a problem this time." Elder Song laughed, but the others might not be so. After all, the second-grade inscription master examination isn't child's play. Deacon Wang, do you think that little guy Lin Xian will be able to pass? I don't know. Deacon Wang shook his head. The last time I saw him, he only had a first seal soul force. I didn't expect that after not seeing him for more than 2 months, he would have a breakthrough. Oh, Elder Song, and the others were interested. It seems that this child's talent is amazing. I hope he can shine in the battle of the inscription tower. While they were talking, Lin Xian and the others had already begun to move. The disciples held their breaths and carefully watched the 5 people on the stage. They didn't want to miss a single detail. Lin Xian calmed himself down and carefully drew the inscription. He didn't dare to be careless. Compared to the previous examination, the difficulty of this examination was nearly 10 times higher. This was also the reason why there were so few second-grade inscriptionists. It was just too difficult. Lin Xian pushed his soul force to the limit, controlling the inscription. Huang Shanshan also had a dignified expression. Sweat seeped out of her delicate face. Zhou Yong and the other 2 were sweating profusely, their faces pale. The mysterious inscriptions in the air were like a bottomless pit, absorbing their soul force. Time slowly passed. 5 inscriptions appeared in the sky. One could vaguely make out a pattern, but it wasn't complete. Among them, Huang Shanshan had completed about 70%. Lin Xian had completed half. Zhou Yong had completed about 60%. And the remaining 2 had completed about 40%. Ka! Like a piece of jade shattering, a crisp sound rang out in the air. One person's inscription cracked and shattered with a bang. The youth closest to him was affected, and his inscription was instantly scattered. Lin Xian and the others were also affected. The inscription in the sky seemed as if it would scatter at any time. This change was unexpected. Originally, the inscription process needed to be absolutely safe and not be disturbed by the outside world. Otherwise, the possibility of failure was very high. Lin Xian's soul force intertwined, constantly stabilizing the inscription while continuing to draw. Huang Shanshan and Zhou Yong were protecting the inscription with all their might, not daring to be distracted. Elder Song and the others looked at the arena with a trace of worry on their faces. Lin Xian's technique is very special. It doesn't seem to be a common technique in the Xia Kingdom. Elder Song was surprised to see Lin Xian continue to draw while protecting the inscription. I heard that he has a master who doesn't appear in the world, but I don't know the details, Deacon Wang quickly said. But he is a disciple of the Sword Pool Mansion's Lin family. His identity is very clear, and he can participate in the Battle of the Inscription Tower. Yes, I also heard about this, Deacon Meng said from the side. Just as the three of them were talking, the atmosphere in the arena finally calmed down. Huang Shanshan and Zhou Yong heaved a sigh of relief, but their expressions changed again. This was because they saw that Lin Xian's inscription was almost complete. Chapter 2:14. Lin Xian's speed was so fast that Huang Shanshan and Zhou Yong's expressions changed. Damn it. How can this kid be so fast? Zhou Yong's face was gloomy as he started to inscribe. Huang Shanshan also took a deep breath. She no longer paid attention to anything else and focused on drawing. The difference in performance was obvious, at least in terms of mental fortitude. Huang Shanshan was much stronger than Zhou Yong. In the end, Lin Xian was the first to finish inscribing. He continued to refine the second-grade elixir calmly. Huang Shanshan was the second to finish inscribing. She had already regained her composure. Zhou Yong was the last to finish. His face was ferocious as he looked at Lin Xian coldly. After 2 hours, the three of them finished inscribing. Elder Song and the rest walked over in anticipation and started to examine the 3 elixirs. They were most concerned about Huang Shanshan, so they were the first to examine her elixir. Not bad. The color is still a little rough, but it is a genuine second-grade elixir. Shanshan, you passed. Hearing this, the silver-robed woman's face finally showed a trace of joy. Then Elder Song and the rest looked at Zhou Yong. The purity is not enough, and the fire is still lacking. I was a little impatient, Elder Song said in a low voice. Deacon Wang and Deacon Meng sighed and shook their heads slightly. What? Zhou Yong did not pass. The surrounding disciples were also stunned. They had a new understanding of the second-grade inscriptionist examination. Zhou Yong's face was gloomy. He bowed to the 3 elders unwillingly and clenched his fist without saying a word. At this moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian. Humph, he definitely won't pass. Didn't you see that even a genius like Zhou Yong failed? Most people were not optimistic about Lin Xian. Even Zhao Shui was a little worried. After all, a second-grade inscriptionist's sole power did not mean that he could become a second-grade inscriptionist. There were also many factors such as technique, proficiency, experience, and many others. It's a spiritual liquid. Elder Song was surprised. Previously, Shanshan and Zhou Yong were both refining elixirs. They did not expect Lin Xian to know how to refine spiritual liquid. In essence, there was no difference between the two. He opened the cork, and a mellow fragrance wafted out. Everyone was a little puzzled and subconsciously sniffed a few times. Isn't this wine? Could it be that this brat refined a pot of wine? Humph, I've already said that this brat is unreliable. Zhou Yong smelled the fragrance of the wine, and his heart calmed down slightly. Finally, he wasn't the only one who had failed. Elder Song and the others didn't pay much attention to this. The 3 of them checked carefully. The expressions of the 3 of them gradually turned solemn, and their eyes were filled with shock. In the end, Elder Song took a deep breath and said, a second-grade spirit liquid, and a top-grade one at that. What? Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect this result. Second-grade spiritual liquid, and it's of superior quality. Zhou Yong felt his vision darken and nearly fainted. He did not think that the brat that he had always looked down on was actually even stronger than Shanshan. Shanshan's body was also tense, her beautiful eyes fixed on Lin Xian. At this moment, the others also reacted and looked at Lin Xian in shock. Elder Song's eyes flashed, a 17-year-old second-grade inscriber. You're the first one in Xia country. I was just lucky. Lin Xian smiled and bowed to the three seniors. As a second-grade inscriber of the Inscription Alliance, you'll be protected by the Inscription Alliance. Correspondingly, you'll also have to complete some tasks. Every year, you'll refine 3 elixirs or weapons for the Inscription Alliance for free of charge. Elder Song said loudly. Lin Xian and the others knew about this, so they didn't have much of a reaction. After registering his information, Lin Xian received the silver robe of the Inscription Alliance. Lin Xian, you're very talented. I hope we can exchange our experiences. Huang Shanshan smiled. Senior Huang, you're too polite. Lin Xian said lightly, when there's a chance, I'll definitely have a good exchange with you. After saying that, he left with Zhao Shui. Everyone was stunned. Their goddess, Shanshan, had actually invited Lin Xian. Many disciples were heartbroken. Zhou Yong's face turned black and his body trembled. However, what surprised them even more was that Lin Xian had actually rejected her. Huang Shanshan's face stiffened. In the past, she had always rejected others. This time, she finally tasted the feeling of being rejected. She stopped smiling and walked towards Elder Song and the others. Outside the Inscription Alliance, the warriors of the Xing family were waiting anxiously. Are you sure that the lad went in? The bald man asked. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. The warrior under him said. Good. This time we can't let them escape. The bald man said darkly. Big brother, that lad has come out. Xing Tong, who was wearing a cloak, stared at the door fiercely. Be careful. Don't fight at the door of the Inscription Alliance. We'll fight him when he comes out. A group of people hid behind the building and waited patiently. Lin Xian noticed the presence of these people. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he slowly walked over. Zhao Shui followed behind him with a smile on her face. She was not worried about Lin Xian at all. In the entire Xing family, no one would dare to attack a second-grade inscriber. The two of them walked at a steady pace. Suddenly, dozens of warriors rushed out from both sides and surrounded them. Everyone's aura was very strong. It formed an invisible pressure that pressed down on the two of them. However, their pressure was like a stone sinking into the sea. It had no effect at all. How dare you attack an inscriber? Lin Xian said slowly. The bald man was stunned. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. He saw a golden pattern on Zhao Shui's chest. A first-grade inscriber. The warriors were shocked. The aura on their bodies disappeared quickly. Big brother! Xing Tong shouted anxiously while wearing a cloak. Big brother Zhou Yong is also participating in the inscriber examination today. Maybe he's already a second-grade inscriber. When the time comes, are we afraid of a first-grade inscriber? Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. They could not afford to offend a first-grade inscriber. However, if a second-grade inscriber supported them, it would be different. One had to know that the difference in status between the two was like heaven and earth. Surround them and wait for Zhou Yong to arrive, the bald man said in a low voice. Are you sure? Lin Xian asked. If you anger us, the Xing family will be in big trouble. Kid, you don't have to scare me. The bald man sneered. We still have a few first-grade inscribers. Big brother Zhou Yong is here. Xing Tong shouted happily. You two are dead. I'll make you my slaves, and you'll never be able to rise again. Brother Zhou, you're here. The bald man welcomed him with a smile. Zhou Yong did not pass the examination and was in a bad mood. He said a few words calmly and prepared to leave. Big brother Zhou, these two guys hurt me. You have to help me. Xing Tong screamed. Zhou Yong frowned and looked in front of him. In the crowd, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were surrounded. They were looking at him with half smiles. Chapter 215. Zhou Yong's face twisted when he saw Lin Xian. However, when he thought of Lin Xian's status as a second-grade inscription master, he sighed. He could not afford to offend Lin Xian unless his master intervened. Big brother Zhou, you must have become a second-grade inscription master. Help me teach them a lesson. Xing Tong was still shouting. However, when they saw the golden pattern on Zhou Yong's chest, they were stunned. Brother Zhou, could it be that you... The bald man said doubtfully. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't do anything about this. Zhou Yong sighed. Lord Lin Xian, this has nothing to do with me. He cupped his fists and said to Lin Xian, Lord Lin? The surrounding martial artists were stunned and looked at Lin Xian in confusion. Someone who could be addressed as Lord by Zhou Yong was definitely not a simple person. Could it be that Lin Xian had an extraordinary background? The bald man suddenly had a bad premonition. He was about to ask when he realized that Zhou Yong had already run away. Lin Xian flipped his palm and put on his silver robe. The two golden patterns on his chest were as dazzling as swords. Second-grade inscription master. The Xing family martial artist's expressions changed, and the bald man almost jumped up. They never would have thought that Lin Xian was a second-grade inscription master. No wonder Lin Xian was not afraid of them. No wonder Zhou Yong called him Lord Lin Xian. Everything was clear now. It's a misunderstanding, Lord Lin. It's a misunderstanding. The bald man immediately smiled. They could not afford to offend a second-grade inscription master. Hurry up and disperse. If you block Lord Lin's path, I'll kill you. Lord Lin, take care. We'll leave now. The bald man nodded and bowed, preparing to leave. Wait, Lin Xian said in a low voice. You want to leave? Everyone stiffened and reluctantly stopped in their tracks. The bald man gritted his teeth and threw Xing Tong in front of Lin Xian. Then he punched and kicked him. You piece of trash! How dare you offend Lord Lin? You're courting death. Xing Tong twitched, clutching his head and screaming. He wanted to die now. A second-grade inscription master could kill him in the blink of an eye. Lord Lin, I was wrong. I was blind. I deserve to die. Xing Tong began to slap himself. Lord Lin, please let me go. It's done, Lin Xian said calmly. It's not impossible to let you go, but it depends on whether you are sincere. Lord Lin, feel free to instruct us. The Xing family will definitely get it done for you. The bald man hurriedly said. Xing Tong also looked at Lin Xian with hope. Lin Xian took out a piece of paper and wrote down a bunch of spiritual grasses. I'll give you 3 days to gather everything on the list and send it to the volcano cultivation room. The bald man took the paper and glanced at it. Seeing that it was full of precious spirit herbs, he immediately felt distressed. However, he couldn't show it on his face. If I don't see anything in 3 days, I'll have to make a trip to the Xing family. At that time, don't blame me for not giving you a chance, Lin Xian said calmly. Lord Lin, don't worry. We'll definitely deliver it. The bald man quickly said and left with the group. Lin Xian smiled as he watched the group leave. He then walked towards the volcano cultivation room with Zhao Shui. He entered the cultivation room again. This time, he wanted to remove the mark of the purple demon palace. He constantly scanned his body with his soul power. With Lord Alcohol's guidance, he finally found the mark. It was a purple dot of light the size of a needle. It was hidden deep within his body. In the past, Lin Xian wouldn't have been able to discover it. However, now that his soul power had increased, it was easy for him to find it. His soul power transformed into an invisible sword aura and pierced out, shattering the purple dot of light. Golden lightning surged, forming a sphere that wrapped around it and sent it out of his body. After removing the purple dot of light, Lin Xian felt much more comfortable. Even the circulation of his spiritual power was much smoother. He closed his eyes and rested for a while. After adjusting his condition to its peak, he took out a huge block of ice. Cold air surged out, and the entire room seemed to be frozen. Inside the blue block of ice, the azure-haired man was motionless. However, Lin Xian could clearly feel that the azure-haired man's aura was still fluctuating. It's been so long, but he hasn't frozen to death. Lin Xian was surprised. With your current strength, you should be able to use the slave seal, Lord Alcohol said slowly. Do as I say. Lin Xian nodded. His soul power surged out and seeped into the ice block. When it came into contact with the azure-haired man, the latter's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. Green flames danced in his eye sockets. Seal. Lin Xian's soul power surged into the azure-haired man's mind, forming a strange seal. Ka-ka-ka. The green flames in the azure-haired man's eyes danced. A terrifying aura spread out, causing cracks to appear on the ice block. Soul sword. A translucent sword beam surged out of Lin Xian's left eye, penetrating the ice block and entering the azure-haired man's soul. Chi-chi. Immediately, the green flames in the azure-haired man's eyes weakened significantly. As for Lin Xian's slave seal, it was successfully imprinted in his mind. It's a success. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Cloud Prefecture, underwater world. In a huge crack, there was a palace. Inside the palace, the bronze coffin suddenly trembled as a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. The waves at the bottom of the sea churned, forming a huge whirlpool that seemed to tear everything apart. Slave seal. A deep voice came from the coffin. In the cultivation room, Lin Xian released the azure-haired man and stared at him cautiously. Master. Inscriptions appeared in the azure-haired man's eyes. Okay. Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. From the looks of it, the slave seal was indeed useful. Suddenly, the azure-haired man's body stiffened as the green flames in his eyes burned again. This is his true body summoning you. Quickly use your sword intent to sever this connection, reminded Lord Alcohol. Lin Xian's eyes focused as a sword intent surged. A sharp sword beam slashed out into the void. With the invisible connection severed, the azure-haired man regained his calm. All right, there won't be any accidents this time. Cloud Prefecture. Underwater. The deep voice sounded again. Great Dragon Sword. Cultivation room. Lin Xian exhaled and asked in a deep voice, Who are you? I'm your servant, said the azure-haired man. I'm asking who you were before. Or should I say, who is your true body? Left Azure Wworm envoy, said the azure-haired man. What's your relationship with the Nether Hall? Lin Xian continued asking. The Nether Hall is one of the 8 halls of our sect, said the azure-haired man slowly. One of the 8 halls. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. According to what he knew, the Nether Hall had once controlled several countries and was abnormally powerful. But now, it was only one of the halls. What sect? Tell me everything you know. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. The Nether Hall belongs to the Black Dragon sect. It's one of the weaker halls. The Hall Master is Old Man Nether, who has reached the earthly supremacy realm. Our sect's leader, the Black Dragon sect's leader, has boundless magic power. He's like a true god. He has 2 envoys for guardians and 8 hall masters. All of them are powerful. Chapter 216. The blue-haired man told him some basic information. He didn't know anything else. However, this was normal. He was just a doppelganger. It was already good enough that he knew so much. After Lin Xian heard this, his heart trembled. He realized that the Black Dragon cult was too powerful. Any random hall master could sweep through several countries. Moreover, he knew that there was a hall called the Purple Demon Hall, which was very similar to the Purple Demon Palace. Recently, the Nether Hall had been very active. Moreover, there was a suspicious sect like the Purple Demon Palace. Could it be that the Black Dragon cult was going to revive? Lin Xian was shocked. If this kind of power revived, it would definitely cause trouble for the entire continent. The Black Dragon cult wasn't a benevolent sect. Once they revived, there would definitely be a great war. It was useless to think about this now. It was better to increase his strength first. Lin Xian sighed. Then he put away the blue-haired man and started to cultivate. 5 days passed quickly. On this day, the bald man brought a few followers to the volcano cultivation room. They asked Lin Xian about the cultivation time and then waited patiently outside. The martial artists who came and went were puzzled. Many of them secretly guessed that the Xing clan must be waiting for some big shot. However, when they saw the bald man welcome Lin Xian, they almost bit off their tongues. For a moment, many martial artists were very curious about Lin Xian's identity. Fourth sky of the spiritual sea realm. Is that normal? Why is the Xing clan so humble? Many people were puzzled. Lord Lin, everything is here. Please take a look. The bald man handed over a storage ring. Lin Xian scanned it with his soul power and found that it was the spirit herbs he was looking for. He immediately nodded in satisfaction. Oh, right. Where can I find high-grade fire attribute spirit herbs in the Fire Province? Lin Xian asked. High-grade fire attribute spirit herbs? The bald man was slightly stunned. Then he said, "There is a piece of news. Is it true?" "Speak." Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "It's like this. Recently, a piece of news has been spreading in the city. It is said that there is a volcano 500 miles north of Flame City. There is a bright glow and a strange fragrance. Many people think that it is a peerless spirit herb, multicolored light, strange fragrance." Lin Xian rubbed his chin, somewhat convinced. "Big Head Xing, your Xing family has really declined, actually speaking so humbly to a piece of trash in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier." A mocking voice rang out. It was extremely ear-piercing. The bald, burly man raised his head abruptly and said coldly, "Lai Wu, how dare you speak rudely to Lord Lin? You're courting death." "Lord Lin, what bullsh asterisk T Lord?" That voice was full of disdain. Lin Xian raised his head and stared coldly ahead. There was a red-robed young man standing there. He held a folding fan in his hand and looked at the bald man and Lin Xian with disdain. The 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Is this what gives you the right to be so arrogant? The corner of Lin Xian's mouth raised slightly. "Humph. It's enough to deal with you. I can crush you to death as easily as crushing an ant." The red-robed youth waved his fan and said arrogantly, "Lai Wu, you're really courting death." Big Head Xing sneered. "Our Lord Lin is a 2nd-grade inscription master. Quickly kowtow and admit your mistake." 2nd-grade inscription master. The surrounding martial artists were stunned. That was an existence on the same level as a harmonious spirit realm expert. Really? Isn't he too young? The crowd was in disbelief. Lai Wu froze, then laughed loudly. "I say, Big Head Xing, will you die if you don't brag? If he's a 2nd-grade inscription master, then I'm a harmonious spirit realm expert." Lai Wu was extremely arrogant, laughing until tears came out. But soon he couldn't laugh anymore, and his handsome face became extremely ugly. Because he saw Lin Xian slowly put on his silver-white robe. The 2 golden lines on his chest were like sharp blades, stabbing into his heart. You... Lai Wu opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. The surrounding martial artists were also shocked, looking at Lin Xian with disbelief. This was probably the youngest 2nd-grade inscription master they'd ever seen. "Lai Wu, quickly admit your mistake to Lord Lin." The bald man coldly shouted. The red-robed youth's expression was conflicted, and he was stunned for a moment. Humph, a second-grade inscription master. Is that so great? A slightly frivolous voice sounded. The crowd was stunned. There was actually someone who dared to challenge a second-grade inscription master. That was too daring. Big Head Xing frowned, and just as he was about to shout, he was stopped by Lin Xian. Under the crowd's attention, a devilish man appeared. He was wearing a purple robe with a handsome face and fair skin, but his lips were as red as blood. Many people wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads, feeling their hearts palpitate. He's from the Purple Extreme Demon Palace, Xiao Shui transmitted. The third in the younger generation of the Purple Extreme Demon Palace, Ru Shui. Lin Xian was secretly on guard. His intuition told him that the man in front of him was very dangerous. Lord Ru Shui, you've come at the right time. Lai Wu walked to Ru Shui's side, as if he saw his savior. Since I'm here, I can guarantee that you'll be fine. Ru Shui's red lips did not move, but a feminine voice came out. Humph. So, what if you're a second-grade inscription master? In front of Lord Ru Shui, you're nothing? Lai Wu became arrogant again. Is that so? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and stared at Lai Wu. Wang! Lai Wu's body trembled, and he felt dizzy. The scene around him changed, and countless swords pierced his heart. That kind of pain made him want to die. Pa! A hand was placed on his body, pulling him back from the illusion. Lai Wu's whole body was covered in sweat, and his face was abnormally pale. He looked at Lin Xian in fear. Your opponent is me. Ru Shui's mouth curved into an evil smile, and his lips became even more red, as if blood was about to drip out. Ding, bang, crack. Their gazes met, and sparks flew in the air, causing the void to tremble. The two of you are not allowed to use martial arts in the cultivation area, so please restrain yourselves. A mighty wave of spiritual energy came, as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on everyone's hearts. It's a harmonious spirit expert. Someone shouted in a low voice. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He felt that the energy did not really descend, but it was just a warning. After fighting with the Tsang family's great elder, Lin Xian knew how terrifying a harmonious spirit expert was. He did not want to fight with such a person now, and there was no need for him to offend the volcano cultivation area. Sorry for the disturbance. I'll take my leave now, Lin Xian said loudly, and then left with Xiao Shui. On the other side, Ru Shui looked at Lin Xian, and his eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Let's go. Don't delay our business. Ru Shui smiled evilly. Hearing this, Lai Wu nodded. My father is ready. Why don't you follow me back? Ru Shui shook his sleeve and turned into a cloud of blood mist and left. After they left, the surrounding people let out a sigh of relief. That demonic man is so scary. Someone patted his chest and said, that young man called Lord Lin is not simple either. Such a young second-grade inscription master. He is definitely a demonic existence. I heard that a divine medicine has appeared in the north. Do you think that these people will appear? That's for sure. Someone was excited. I have to go back and prepare. I can't miss such a good thing. After leaving the cultivation room, Lin Xian and Xiao Shui left the city, and the two of them headed towards the volcano cultivation area in the north. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.